This is in my top 5. Easy.
The problem is, it's a perfect album.
It stinking scared me as a kid.
I don't know what the hell's actually going on because I'm not a big lyrics person.
He took it personal.
That was my diatribe.
Are you freaking kidding me?
This is where the scene is over.
There's no subtext to this. This is a blatant song.
This is just the ultimate FU song.
I have always loved that.
You feel it in your bones.
We have to be honest about that. We are joined here today in celebration of Motley Crue. Now, we've done this before, Carsen and I. We counted down Def Leppard and Garth Brooks, and we decided that we would now move on to the Crue. And we had to bring in a Crue expert. Namely, I'll let Carsen handle the introduction. Because you handled the introduction of he and I, 25 plus years ago? I'll let you do this one.
Can we stop counting? Okay. So this is Caton. And Kate and I have known each other since we were juniors in college. And it's because
3
one
weeks.
night... Huh?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yes, absolutely. Kate and I was working at the radio station doing an 80s hair band show at a time when nobody was playing 80s hair bands, and I get a phone call, which is a blinking light, because it's a radio studio in the late 90s. That makes me feel old. And this guy's on the other end, and we just start talking music, and we're talking tunes, and finally, after an hour, I'm like, do you want to come in next week? Because he's like, I got a box of these. You wouldn't believe my collection. And I'm like, yeah, come on in. And so he came in, and literally we have been friends ever since. And then a few months later, Hyde came to visit me at Ole Miss. We were going to see Garth Brooks, and I threw a party at my apartment, and everybody's drinking. And you two hold up in my spare bedroom listening to bootlegs air drumming. And it's one of my favorite photos of all time.
As one
capturing the two of you mid-drum.
All that true story. True story. No doubt about it. I came in. First of all, thanks for having me. It's awesome to hang out with you guys and join you guys, two of my best friends. And yeah, I mean, everything you said is spot on how I remember it. I came in that evening. I think I was maybe out studying or something, it seems like. And I remember I
think you were at the library.
And my roommate said, hey, man, like there is this girl on Rebel Radio playing all that stuff you always talk about and you love, all the glam rock. I don't think people called it hair metal then. So I flipped it on and I was like, what is going on? And sure enough, I picked up the phone and called. And I remember the first thing I said to you when I got you on. I remember I said, what are you doing playing all this? Like nobody does this. And then take it from there, what you said.
I swear he was like, nobody knows this music. And then you and I started talking, and we were like, well, we know this music. And I knew there was a third back home in Connecticut who knew this music. And that leads us to today with doing and even to say bringing Caton in for this episode, if I have it my way, the three of us are going to be doing a lot more. And just even straight up, like two of my best friends that were sitting here just talking about music that we love and matters so much to us. And there's literally nothing better. Nothing makes me happier in this world. Yeah. So we decided, let's make this about Motley. And I know, Caton, you may have us beat in your passion for Motley, because I still remember when you were like, they were doing Feel Good top to bottom. And you're like, I'm going to Detroit for that, because I'm going to go hear Time for Change live.
Well,
and I were like,
hold up. You don't know.
No, I just
the list.
We're not saying that's in the top 15. I'm just saying that it's one of those like
you have a great memory. You have a great memory.
Because I saw Motley on the Feel Good tour. The shirt is from that. And I don't think they played Time for Change. I don't recall the set list, but yeah, so that was the point, that as much as even getting to hear, like going to the Feel Good tour, you didn't get the whole album, and the fact that they played it, you were like, yeah, it's we all have those bands that there's like a song you never thought you'd hear live. And you're like, that's the passion.
It's funny that you remember that, because honestly, that truly was. It sounds like you're saying it for shock value. That truly was what tipped me over to saying am I going to go or am I going to not? You know, hearing Dr. Feelgood top to bottom, that'd be incredible, but I could, you know, possibly live my life without seeing that. But then when I thought about, man, you know, they never played Time for Change back in the day. I've always loved that tune. I had a friend that lived in Detroit at the time, and, you know, I made sure that they were actually playing everything. And I was like, you know what, that did it. And that's what caused me to book a ticket. So you have a good memory.
I mean, that's what it's about. It's about the passion. It's about the fun. So let's dive in. We are counting down our personal top 15 favorite Motley Crue songs. This is not the definitive Motley Crue. They already did that. They've done Greatest Hits, Decade of Decadence. They've done this. So we're doing our versions, what our favorite songs would be, and we're going to talk about them. We're going to share our stories. And believe me, I'm sure we all have stories to absolutely take us through all of this, because Motley has been in our lives for, at this point, most of our lives. So we're going to take you through it. We're going to start at number 15. This is in order. We're going from our least most favorite to our most favorite, and it's just going to be fun. So thanks for sticking with us. Let's have a good time. Let's allow our guest to go first with his number 15 favorite Motley Crue song.
All right. Listen, it's not good news when you're starting with 15 and you're already going to make the comment, this was hard, guys. This was hard. Truly, number 15 was even hard for me. So it is You're All I Need. You're All I Need. So I think hands down, one of the better Motley Crue ballads in their catalog, in my opinion. I always thought it was so cool that they mixed, you know, that they diluted a little bit the lyrical content with the type of song they chose to let those lyrics live in. So, you know, I love the story with Doc McGee. Then Doc McGee played it for Bon Jovi. I'm sure you've heard this, and, you know, shared the same manager. And John Bon Jovi said to Doc McGee, he said, that's the best. That's one of the best ballads I've ever heard. Like, that's one of the best ballads I have ever heard written. And then he showed him the lyrics, and I don't know, maybe that changed John's mind a little bit, but I love that story. And yeah, I mean, I just think I think so many things are great about that song. I think I do think the lyrics are cool. You know, it's got a Guns N' Roses, She Used to Love Me type vibe to it. A lot darker. You know, Guns N' Roses was clearly, I thought, kind of playful, you know,
tongue in cheek.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very tongue in cheek. Nikki Sixx was, you know, this was not tongue in cheek. I mean,
this was knife in cheek.
Knife in cheek, crime of passion. And I read this, actually. I didn't know this. I read this when I was kind of, you know, making my list. But apparently he wrote this about a girlfriend that he thought cheated on him with another musician. And I forget his name. It wasn't a name I recognized. But that musician that either she cheated with or he thought she did, he had a song in his catalog called You're All I Need.
I love it. I did not know that.
I didn't either. So the lyrics were, you know, because he was pretty hacked off, and then, you know, he added that layer in there and actually took the song title that the guy had. So I thought that was pretty good. I always thought, you know, we finally made the news. I mean, I thought that was just an amazing line. So yeah, that's it.
I will say, You're All I Need is my favorite song on Girls, but spoiler alert for my list, nothing from Girls made my list.
Oh,
not a single song from Girls is on my list. You're All I Need, like, I've got my alternates down at the bottom. You're All I Need is in that alternate list.
Yeah.
But nothing from Girls made my list. So it was like, Kate, and I will tell you my methodology in doing this. I lay out every song in the catalog per album, and I order them from favorite to least favorite per album. I take the number ones, I put them against each other. And then whatever's number one, we take the number two from that album, put it up against the rest of the number ones, so on. Insane. You're All I Need was number one for me. It is my only number one, maybe my two number ones that didn't make the list.
Didn't make the
So
list.
just yeah, that one
Okay.
from an album perspective, You're All I Need, again, my favorite on that album. So it was in the list until I kept going and it just found its way getting
Yeah.
funneled down.
Where do you think that falls? Where do you think that falls, Carsen, on where do you think that ranks within their ballads? Just within their ballads. I don't
Oh, and the
mean
ballads.
yeah.
Here's the reason that song isn't on my list is because I was first turned on to it when I got into Motley, which was, I think for a lot of us, it was through an older sibling and or an older sibling's friend. And it was my best friend in 6th grade. Her sister loved Motley. And they played me You're All I Need. And it scared me so bad because it's this guy, like, the blade of my knife, that's the web of your heart. And like lyrically, from a melodic standpoint, it's better than Without You.
It's gorgeous.
It is. It's really
gorgeous.
Great. Lyrically, it's my worst nightmare. So if we can separate that way, I'm like, melodically, it is right there at the top. Lyrically, I feel the pain where it came from. As a female, oh, it's deep and it's dark, and I don't like inserting myself into the victim role.
It's dark. It's dark. And I mean, I honestly think that I mean, I have never thought about this, but I am now. I mean, I don't know that there's another band that could have done what they did. I mean, not that it was a hit. I know they made a video, didn't really make it on MTV, I don't think, but I'm not sure there's a lot of other bands or lyricists other than Nikki Sixx that could do what they did and have the backbone and the guts to insert those lyrics into, like you said, a gorgeous, beautiful ballad. It was a bold kind of.
It's a dichotomy because it really, it shouldn't mesh, but it does.
Very much a dichotomy.
Well, let me tell you, I honestly think the star of that song is Vince. Because Vince's voice is not like Axl Rose can sing that lyric and you expect it. Like you said, there's so many guys of that era who had that edge. If Sebastian Bach sang You're All I Need, absolutely. But Vince is that pretty voice that's like high and thin, and he's the home sweet home. He's the wild side. When he's singing that song, if you're not listening to lyrics, again, the melody that was created, but Vince's voice, he never gets dirty. It's not Axl Rose who's going to throw that grit on it. Vince sings it so sincerely that it works as the deceptive ballad.
Yeah, but well, I mean, you just articulated much better everything that I was trying to. You're right. I mean, he is the star of that, Vince, because he sings it so convincingly that it's a love story, and so convincingly that it's not the lyrical content that you're getting, that you don't realize it straight away. And I mean, some people never realized it probably.
He put the Vince in convincingly.
Love it. Love it.
All right, Carsen, what do you got for number 15?
I hope my dogs calm down here in a little bit. I'll take care of that.
We can't hear them. Or I can't.
Yeah. So
no, you're good.
Number 15, I actually put a cover, which is from Decade, Anarchy in the UK. And it's so, now look, I mean, is there, sure, Motley Crue, dangerous band, but like Sex Pistols, and as much as Nikki, I'm punk, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, but is there the blend of Motley, like we were just talking about with the melodies of You're All I Need, but would there have been that Motley edge without a Sex Pistols? And to be fair, I had never heard Anarchy before Motley's version, because I wasn't, like, we're kind of a little young for punk. Like, we would have had to actively seek it out. So I remember getting Decade and listening and not knowing that this was a cover. And also I'm like, oh, whatever, like Anarchy, and all right. But it's dirty and it's gritty, and yes, Motley is dirty and Motley is gritty, but there's always been the polish on them. And this was because it's punk and because it's a cover, but I felt like they got to open themselves up to the dirt. That maybe when with the slick LA sound, the slick LA look that they had cultivated for so long, that getting to hear a song like that with honestly some lyrics that, I mean, that song does get dirty and graphic. And it was, here I am, like, this barely like kind of preteen, maybe, I don't know, like 13 or something. And it's one of those that I'm like waiting for my parents to come in and like take it away, because like Dr. Feelgood's one thing, and I get it's about drugs, but like this one was, it's like there's no subtext to this. This is a blatant song, and yet it fits Motley so well, and I still love their version of it.
This is a top 25 for me, definitely. I love it. For those who remember, obviously you, it was on my answering machine in high school.
That's
And
right.
just the end part.
Fucking destroyed. That was
I was
you.
doing my DJ rap into the next song. So, I figured that was a good ending point. Leave your name and number. Here's something else. Whatever. So no, love it. Love their cover of it. It's, to me, like, there's this one and there's Megadeth did it as well on So Far So Good So What. I don't like, and I love Megadeth, but I don't like Megadeth's version. I feel like Motley kept the vein of it while also making it like the most Motley track ever. So, Kate, what are your thoughts on Anarchy?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is what I love about music, and this is what I love about doing things like this, right? As much as we are always a lot of, you think you're on the same wavelength, or you think you know each other's list. I mean, do I like the cover? Yeah, I like the cover. Would it make a top? Oh man,
50? No.
I don't know. I don't know that it would make my top 50. And it's not at all because it's a cover. Like I view it as a Motley Crue track, right? I mean, it's like you said, Jess, I didn't know the original probably the first time I heard it. I love the song. It maybe would make a top 50, but it wouldn't come close to my top 25.
Fair enough.
Okay.
You said Hyde. So, again, all the more reason why I love stuff like this. And I have no doubt I'm going to have some things on my list that in the background, you're going to be thinking, really?
Yeah.
Well, again, I think the fun thing of this is like, it's also going to make us want to go like, all right, I didn't even think of that song because it wasn't near my list. When this is over, I might have to go check it out again and see what the hell Caton was seeing in it. I think that's going to be fun.
All right. So Hyde,
15,
where are you at? Where are you at?
My number 15, I can't imagine isn't on your lists. But it's the bottom of my list, and it is the shirt you're wearing, Carsen.
Oh.
Dr. Feelgood comes in at number 15 on my list.
Ooh.
See? Now here's the thing. But this goes to what you were saying, Kate, and that this is hard. This goes to the strength of Motley in the studio. This goes to the strength of their songs.
This is where I'm going to stop you, because without giving things away, Feel Good may be on my list elsewhere. And I feel like if we are going to have an in-depth conversation about it,
We'll do it later.
Ruining. Yes.
All right. Well, then I'll just say Dr. Feelgood for now, and we'll move on. And
if that's okay, if you don't mind me doing that format.
You know what? Let's do that. If it is, if we say something that's higher or much higher on someone's list, let's just say we'll talk about it later.
We're going to let you put a pin in your 15.
So yeah, but that's my 15 is Dr. Feelgood. And again, the strength of Motley Crue, 4 guys in the studio that I would have thought Dr. Feelgood was much higher on my list. I'll speak about the ranking. I won't speak about the song. Okay. I would have thought when I was going through this, I think originally it was so high. And then as I kept adding, it fell. And it was just like watching it fall. And it was like, okay, it's like the stock ticker of Dr. Feelgood. So that's my 15, but we'll move on to number 14. We'll go to Carsen first this time.
Oh, okay. I did have something from Girls make my list. And it might surprise you. It's Dancing on Glass.
Wow.
And
wow, I double wow there. Yeah.
Okay. Here's why.
Wait, hold on. That is way up my list. We need to talk about. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think this is gonna be on either one of their lists. Here's the reason why. This is Girls. I didn't really listen to too much as a kid. But I started to when we've heard Too Fast or Feel Good so many times for so many years, it was like, okay, start diving back in. And I won't go into other Girls, because I'm sure that Peyton's got some on there. But this song, to me, because I am such a fan of Too Fast, that the guitar, to me, could have absolutely been a track on Too Fast for Love. So the guitar has always immediately gotten me. The vocal is not my favorite. I'm going to be very, very real with you. But for me, mixed guitar is, it grabs me. It sticks in my head. And there is lyrically, look, I don't know what it's like to do heroin. I don't know what it's like to get off heroin. but there are some really interesting imageries on there, like, you know, engraving my veins in style, which I was like I was like go to like It's So Easy with GNR, who's like, you know, I smoke my cigarette with style. And that's why like Dancing on Glass is always kind of, when it comes to that album, there's the imagery of it really sticks with me. And I think that's why I put that when I'm even looking at playing songs off Girls, like that's pretty high for me. I know neither one of you
Yeah.
have anything to say about that
No,
song.
no, I like the song. I do like the song, and I don't listen to Girls a whole lot. Like, right, you know, it is, you know, the later in life that we get, you know, you become pickier and chooser. You know, you pick and choose differently sometimes, and so I still love listening to Motley Crue, and I don't go to Girls, Girls, Girls a lot. It is a cool track. It does surprise me. It made the list, but I'm probably a little closer to what Hyde said, where I may, you know, I do have something else from Girls on my list, but I kind of stepped into this and I was surprised that I had anything from Girls on my list. Like when I got done. So kind of like what you said, how Feel Good dropped down. When I stepped into this process, I thought, well, I know Girls won't make the list because it's probably lower on my you know list of Motley records. So again, it's why this is fun. You know, I do think it's a killer track though. I do.
Like, kind of going to what we said earlier, like I feel I'm ready to go listen to it. With everything you just put on there, I'm like, man, I need to give Dancing on Glass another chance. Okay, all right. Like,
I'm gonna tell you, the guitar, I think, like, if you could, this is where I'm gonna be real. If you can like kind of like tune out Vince, you'd be like, wait, I think I like what I'm hearing from the musicianship from it. I think there's some good stuff there.
I think that's fair.
And like I said, to me, it's reminiscent. I feel like it could have been on Too Fast, and because spoiler, that's my favorite album, that I'm always going to gravitate to stuff like from that's in that vein. Heroin pun.
Well, since you're talking about Too Fast for Love, I'll go next with my 14, which is from Too Fast for Love. And looking over my list, it is the one of two from Too Fast for Love, not the only.
Me and Kate, like, ow.
You got to diversify. What can I tell you? So
Kate and I were just ready to put Too Fast top or bottom as our list.
Oh yeah, I mean, John just took. If I've given Carsen 2 wows already, I mean, you just took the wow category by storm by that comment.
I'm all about diversity. What can I tell you? And again, this is one when I started out, I thought was so much higher, and then it just kept getting moved down. And you'll be shocked by the things that come higher than this. But my number 14, and I won't speak too much about it because I'm sure one of you has it. You could just raise your hands. Is Livewire. There you go. So I won't say much about it. I will say,
you know what? Because I cut you off on the last one, and Livewire's mid-pack for me.
Okay.
And if Livewire's not on Caton's list, let's talk Livewire.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to say about Livewire. Number one, in my listing, I get a little particular. This has to be the Leather Records version. Straight up. This has to be leather. I need the audience applauding. I need all of that. To me, that is Livewire. The sheen of Elektra Records, pulling some of that stuff out. There's an energy that is lost on that Too Fast for Love. And I will say, I remember never really giving Too Fast for Love much attention until the mid to late 90s. And when I did, it was great. But then when I got my hands on the Leather Records, from the Music to Crash Your Car to, I was like, the whole album just sounds that much more up. I was like, okay, like now I'm really into this album. And Livewire just, again, it came alive. What can I tell you? I love the breakdown. When you think of a band's first, I know there's a 45, but it was a band's first single making their mark, even in the Elektra version with the video. For a bunch of young guys to put that much into a song, it's not just 2.5 minutes of straight riff, chorus. There's nuance, there's wave going into the cowbell part at the end, like the false stops. What a statement this band made out the gate from an Elektra worldwide standpoint. But again, it comes from that base of that leather version.
It's an easy argument to make about, like, we've heard it a million times about Appetite from GNR and Jungle just being the definitive opening statement from a debut album from a band ever. However, if you go back to a time before that existed, think about the opening of your debut album that is Livewire. Just right into it. There's no pretense. They are hitting you in the face. And you 100% know what you are getting with Motley. Like, plug me in, I'm alive tonight. You're like, okay. But they're taking you on that journey of, like, we're out. Like, we are out. We don't know what's going to happen. These guys, they might kill us. It's music to crash your cards to. But like you said, interestingly, from a musical standpoint, that even back then, that you had these just four misfits who, already have their own personalities built. And yet we've been able to recognize in whatever macho, young man egos that, like, yeah, that Tommy Lee guy, we're going to highlight him with a cowbell. We're going to do that hard stop, and we're going to let him have that. Because even that, like, how often do drummers get that kind of right out of the gate, that you get something like that to have that focus?
There is cowbell all up and down that album.
Yes.
I remember reading somewhere. A review of this one time, and this is in the last few years. This isn't back in the day. And the journalist or whoever said, he's like, man, I mean, had Tommy Lee like just gotten his first cowbell that week or something, because he was so excited about that cowbell. Listen, Livewire's not on my list, and I think that just that shows the strength of the album, right? I mean, that the strength of the catalog and the strength of the album. I adore Livewire. I love it. I agree with you, Carsen. It's middle of the pack for me from that album. When I stack rank those songs, it may even be not middle of the pack. It may even be in that lower tier to me. Doesn't mean I don't like that. It's one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah. Again, the worst song on a favorite album can still be a 9 out of 10 compared to anybody else.
Yep. And, and I have plenty of Too Fast on my list. So, the other thing is I plucked a few, to be honest, because I wanted a little more diversity. And there was a few that were very interchangeable for me, where I'm like, man, this could easily be number whatever, and this could be number whatever. So, I let a few from Too Fast fall off, and that would have been one of them.
So what's your number 14, Caton?
Real quick.
Oh,
I need to go back, and I've heard it. I've certainly heard the leather version, but not a lot. And I don't really know all the differences because I haven't listened to it so you just gave me a to-do, and I want to go back and kind of rediscover this album, spending time with the leather version, because I've probably only heard that a handful of times in my life. I've never routinely listened to that version, and sounds like I should.
I'm also proud to say I've had more than one of the vinyl copy of Leather through my hands in time.
Impressive.
Now, again, there are 3 different stages. There are 3 different releases, I think at least. Never had a first release. Never had the Motley Crue with the black and white logo. That is your first stage, Too Fast for Love original. It never had that. But I did have, I believe, a stage 3. And then they did a 2005 re-release, which came with the bonus Toast of the Town single wrapped inside. I've had 2 of those, which was amazing. Got them inexpensively, which was great. But anyway. Number 14, Caton.
Number 14. So my next few, I'll give a spoiler. My next few are fairly commercial tunes, so they are not deep tracks, right? So 14 for me is "Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away."
It's my number 10.
When I was a kid, I loved this song with a capital L. And I remember the video, seeing it for the first time like it was yesterday. And I remember, if you remember, they're walking on the street, and I remember I was like, which one's Tommy? Which one's Nikki? Because
shave the head.
Exactly. And I remember as a kid, you know, I was like, I couldn't tell them apart in some scenes. And I loved the video.
Don't worry, Nikki. Tommy's got a Sharpie.
Yeah, yeah. And the lyrical content. I love the sentiment behind this song. I love the lyrics. It reminds me of our friendship. And right, you know, we don't see each other all the time. And you know, sometimes, especially for me and you, Hyde, it can be years and years. And then, you know, a show will pop or something. And it literally reminds me of this song, you know, hey, you can crash if you can find your own way. If you can get here, let's go to this show. Let's do this, you know, let's make it happen. And I just always loved the kind of camaraderie that was embedded within the lyrical content of Don't Go Away Mad.
I'll chime in that this is the moment I become Crue heads are best. Like, this is the moment where I go from digging Motley Crue to loving Motley Crue. This is where it's like, okay, because you have to, for perspective, I'm 8 years old here. I am 8 years old when this album comes out. And this song, this video, everything about it, I remember just walking around singing the song. The girls who lived next door to me were tired of hearing me sing it because they thought it was just rude. They're just like, oh, just go away. Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm like, I'm just singing a song. I'm not talking to you, but doesn't matter. Like, I am so in on this song. And for a long time, probably was my favorite song on Dr. Feelgood. Like, this was mine. And somewhere along the way, again, unfortunately, when you listen to these songs now, 35 years, you grow tired of the ones you overplayed and they begin to slip a little. And you come back, you visit it, and you go, oh man, that was great. But like with this one, it's just over time, as my tastes have, you know, changed or whatever, this one just fell a little bit, but always a live highlight too. Always loved when they would sing that song. But this is, for me, that moment. But I will tell you, not on my list.
And it was my number 10.
I mean,
it's my number 10 song. But like you, the video is so cemented in my brain. I can't hear the song without seeing it. But it's one of those songs that the older you get, like you said, Hyde, that as a kid, there's even in a song with a really sweet sentiment about friendship, but they like, yeah, don't go away, Mad, just go away. There's still something rebellious and dangerous about being 8 years old and saying that, or, you know, Kate and I, we're like 11 at this point. But there is something, like, it gives you that little attitude that maybe you're walking into 6th grade and you're like, yeah, because that's in the back of your head. But growing into that song, growing into adulthood with that song, the lyric, you know, we were walking through some youth, smiling through the pain. It hits hard. Like, as a kid, I don't know what that really means. And then one day you're listening to it and you're like, oh, I've lived that. Okay. Like, you know, because it's just the natural evolution of life. But what I also loved about the sentiment of the song is, and we've talked about this for years, about how we were kids that were kind of too young to be the super fans that we were of this music. And we really thought, like, all right, I'm going to turn 18.
We were too young to fall in love. Guess we knew it all along.
Look at us. Look at us. But I always kind of envisioned that, like, I would turn 18 and I was going to go to LA and I was going to be in the middle of all this. And then, like, it didn't exist anymore when I turned 18. And I'm not sure that even if it did, I'm not sure I was going to be that brave. But I know that younger me really thought that I was going to go out and be part of that. And to me, that slice of Motley life was attainable and accessible because it was just 4 dudes shooting pool. And when you think of that as 8 years old, 11 years old, you're like, it made it tangible. It was still Motley Crue. These are superstars, but it made it accessible for somebody like me, whether it was the lifestyle that is the music, because to me, they're intertwined. And I think that's why I have such a soft spot for Don't Go Away Mad. Also, it's the, like, you know, like you mentioned, they said I could crash if I could find my own way. And then, like, you're reconnected. People like, yeah, I told them you were leaving on a bus to go away. It's like she just gets that one line, like, yeah, I told them what's going on, but these are my buddies. It's all right. It's okay. We're just going to do our thing.
I don't even think of this song. What you just said, that one line, I don't even think of this song as what the title suggests, a breakup
Yeah.
type song. Don't,
No,
and that's
not at
why,
all.
actually, that's why when I gave my rationale, I said, to me, this is a song about camaraderie and friendship.
Mhm.
Like it gets that one line and you know what it's about, a breakup, but the whole song to me, and what I always think about in the video, they're playing pool, it's just burned in my head too, is just friendship and the power of friendship. And doesn't matter how much time goes by. Come on, man, hop on a bus, come crash, come.
Yep.
So that I have to kind of hear you guys talk about it to say, oh yeah, the title is Don't Go Away. Like it is about a breakup. I kind of forget that because of what I just, I've associated it with my entire life,
But
I mean,
can
it's
I
funny.
take a
Go.
Can I take a stub here? Okay, Hyde and I were talking earlier today, and we were actually talking about our friendship. And sorry if you have to cut this out, Hyde, but I just have to say it. So one of the last times I think Caton and I had seen each other, the three of us all went to go see Kiss and Nugent and Skids in Memphis. And then like 5 years later, and at the time we were in the Northeast, you were in Memphis, and then in that 5 year span, Hyde and I had moved to Nashville. And I was going to see Def Leppard at Mud Island. And I still had your old email. And I was like, hey, man, is this still you? And you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to Def Leppard tonight. And it's like, Don't Go Away Mad is kind of like, to me, that's the embodiment of our story. That like it had been a couple of years. Because in that time from going to see Kiss and then, 4 or 5 years later, that we hadn't talked. But it doesn't matter. Nobody's mad. Nobody's offended because life just happens.
You can crash
we were
if you can get a
walking.
backstage pass if you can find your own way.
Yeah, if you can find your own way, you can run across the bridge and come meet
And
that
I
leopard.
did, yeah, and I did get a backstage pass, and I had to run. She's like, "Oh, by the way,
It's
also,
now.
if you want to meet Joe Elliott and everybody else, like, be here in 20 seconds."
Yeah.
And I was way across. If you know the venue that we saw them at, which you remember it, you had to walk
19
across.
seconds later.
Oh man, I was trucking, and I made it.
Good.
Still had the picture with them.
Same. And that's why I think, so again, to relate that to Go Away Mad, it's that there was that, 4 or 5 year span where we weren't, because we were walking through some youth. Like we were trying on different careers and different cities in our cases. And that still, it's like, nope, you just pick up right where you left them. Like,
Yep.
Kate, you could be there. Sure am. Cool. We'll see you. And it's like no time passes.
Yeah. So that's awesome for
That was
sure.
great. All right, I'm going to go with my number 13. And this is where my controversy begins. This, I guarantee I'll be shocked. Carsen, it ain't on your list. Caton, I'd be shocked if it was on yours. This is the first of 5 songs on my list that are not on a Motley Crue studio album. Motley has put out a lot of bonus tracks in their days.
Mhm.
So let me tell you, 1/3 of my list comes from bonus tracks.
Wow.
So this was mind-blowing to me when I put it together, believe me. So my number 13, and again, this is going to be the most recent song on my list, 2005, If I Die Tomorrow.
I love that song.
First of all, I remember, this is going back, Metal Sludge Gossip Board. I remember people being up in arms that someone from Simple Plan helped write this song, and that's horrible. But that riff, first of all, it's so simple, and it gets me. That riff sticks in my head. If I'm picking up a guitar, I want to play that riff. There's not much to it, but man, is it good. I love If I Die Tomorrow. I love the sentiment. Again, a beautiful song. I love the way the verses go into the chorus. I just think it's so good. I like Vince's performance in 2005. As far as who else played on it, there are rumors that a certain DJ may have played on it. Probably true. James Michael's voice is definitely in those choruses. Is this a 6 a.m. demo? I don't care. It works. And the video is also awesome. The 4 guys facing their peril, each one having their moment of If I Die Tomorrow. And this song to me, when it came out as a single, I immediately loved it. I love it more. And I just think it's one of those that is completely underrated in the Motley catalog. Number 1, it's not on an album. And number 2, it comes out in 2005. It's a hard sell. But I'm waving the flag for If I Die Tomorrow to you today.
Hey, let me go next on this, if that's okay, Carson, on this one, just because
You were next anyway.
I agree with every word you just said. That song absolutely could have been on my top 15 list. It is one of my favorite Motley Crue songs. It has been since I got that compilation album. I loved it. It's funny what you just said. I love the tone and the whatever you call it, inflection, whatever. I love Vince's vocals in this song. I mean, I'm thinking, and I didn't prep for this because I didn't have this in my list, but I'm thinking about when it comes out of the chorus and goes into the verse, that it brings out the worst in me when you're not around.
Oh, so good.
So good. Like the segue from the chorus to the verses in that song, maybe the best segue in the Motley Crue catalog. If that, I mean, you know what I'm referring to. And for everybody if this song isn't fresh in your mind, go check that out and pay attention to Vince's vocals. And when it goes from the verse to the chorus to the verse, because that's just sticks out in my head. It brings out the worst of me when you're, and the way I love this song. I always love it. I didn't know anything you said about, the guest musicians or Simple Plan helping. I didn't know any of that. I just
it doesn't matter. It's a great song. It
doesn't matter.
What was the other bonus track that was on that greatest
There was
hit?
two. There was Sick Love Song.
Yeah.
Which is also a really good song. There was Street Fightin' Man. And then for the Japanese fans, there was I'm a Liar and That's the Truth.
Okay.
Not as good as the others.
Yeah. Where do you fall on this? I love it. I love that made your list. Amazing.
Yeah, I do too. Well, also because I think I went back, I had to listen to, and we'll talk more about this when I tell you my number 13 song. But I had to go back and listen to some stuff that I might have listened to once or twice and just kind of, it was like, I work in radio, I listen to a lot of music, and you try to keep up with your favorite bands. Sometimes it's hard. But I went back and listened to that, and I do remember you specifically talking about the song For Years, Hyde, and the whole could that have been a 6 a.m. demo, and was that probably DJ? I absolutely hear that, which is part of the reason that I'm an Ashba stan. So is it great? Is it worthy of being where it is on your list? Yeah, it is. But like you said, this is one where you also feel like when you can get Vince trying in a vocal performance, it's not just oh, that was good. You're just so proud.
Yeah.
You're oh, he did, he showed up that day. You're so excited.
Well, and again, this was the reunion. This was Motley going on this big tour for the first time since '98 with the four of them. And they needed to make a statement. And the statement wasn't, here's Dr. Feelgood 2, here's Too Fast for Love 2. It was, here's something that, quite frankly, doesn't fit there, doesn't fit anywhere, but has a timelessness to it. Again, I can't say enough about the song, and it's only at number 13 on my list. So, Caton, what's at number 13 on yours?
And another thing I love about doing this is the inverse of what's already happened, which was, we've had a couple wows where we're like, man, how did that make your list? That surprises me, right? But then, you said, I'm going to be shocked if this is on either of your lists. This is, you said, here comes my first controversial pick, all that. And you couldn't be more wrong as far as my opinion, like that. So I love that there's instances where, we're shocked from one perspective, and then on the other, we're shocked that we're so aligned with something. Yep. So it's 13 for me. Again, I mentioned I had a few commercial ones in a row. Look, this was a late addition to my list. Okay. I think I mentioned this to one of you the other night. This was a late addition, right? So I went through my process as well for selecting these. And what I did was, I just went through and kind of put my top, 40 or 50, right? And I just listened to those for the last month. And every night when I was running, I'd whittle those down and had a playlist. And all I have listened to is Motley Crue for the last month.
Let me ask you real quick. How did that make you feel to just be listening to Crue again?
Oh, it was awesome.
There and really diving in.
It was awesome. Yeah,
it feels good. Awesome. It's a warm blanket.
and I did rediscover some things for sure. I
Mhm.
rediscovered some things that I was like, wow, I had forgotten how much I dug this, you know, on certain tracks. But this was one where when, you know, I stepped outside of my process of just listening to those kind of top 50 and I was just going back through different things. I thought, there's no scenario this cannot be on your list just because what it means to you. This was, I feel like this was almost my introduction to Motley Crue. So big build up there. It's from Theater of Pain, Smoking in the Boys Room. And, you know, I love Theater. I love Theater of Pain. And, you know, I know people knock on it sometimes. Nikki has his opinions. A lot of crew heads rate it lower. And that I absolutely love Theater of Pain, and I always will. And I can remember, you know, I had older cousins and, you know, they had the album and I remember the pentagram. It's the same cousin that, you know, introduced me to Shout at the Devil and let me borrow it. And my mom took it away and he's like, where's my cassette? And I'm like, dude, it had a pentagram. My mom took it. What are you doing? But so Theater will always hold a special place in my heart for that. And Smoking in the Boys Room, look, is it overplayed? Do I go to it and listen to it? You know, I don't, right? Because it is kind of like you said, it's kind of a shame. Things will fall on your list because you got kind of tired of it.
We
But
did it to ourselves.
exactly. But
Yeah.
when I hear the lyrics, when I hear the intro, when I hear My Buddy Six, Mick and Tom, To Get Caught with Your, I just love it. I love it. I loved the video. It takes me back. Maybe this song, of more than any Crue song, transports me back in time to that video. And I just, so it had to make my list. As soon as it popped in my head and I listened to it again, there was no scenario that I wasn't taking something off and putting this on. It's just a special song to me.
I'm going to take over for you, Hyde, because this also is on my list. And we've talked a lot about with this list. It's not about like us saying this is the greatest song because let's get into this drum beat and let's get into, you know, what sticks Tommy was using versus what pick Mick was using. This is straight up for our sentimentality of it. And much like you, Smoking in the Boys Room, for me, it was the first Motley Crue video I ever saw. And I didn't know it was Motley Crue. Like, I don't know if you remember, they used to do something called Friday Night Videos and Friday Night Fights. I was at a sleepover and like, I'm not saying, I'm sure boys did sleepovers too, but like girls sleepovers, you've got daughters, you know, it's a thing. And all the sleeping bags are lined up and it's two older sisters comes in with a different shirt.
Wardrobe change. I love it,
Yeah,
man.
I love it.
I love it.
So here I am.
You can tell this guy was, you know, a front man at one point.
Yes.
Having to
You can't wear
change clothes.
You can't wear the same shirt throughout the whole show. Sorry,
You
Carsen.
can't do it.
Continue.
Oh no, it's fine. So here we are with the sleeping bags lined up in the living room of this family. And I still remember the girl whose birthday party was at. And her older sisters were in the room. And they're like, oh, Motley Crue. And it was Smoking in the Boys Room. And it was that, I don't know if this really works. Allegedly, you would call to vote because it was Friday Night Fights. You call for your favorite video. But I remember distinctly seeing Smoking in the Boys Room, and it's these long-haired guys, and you're, again, like, I'm a little kid, and I don't know this band. It's long-haired boys. They're kind of dirty. They look scary. But also, it's it's a pop song, right? Because obviously it's a cover, and it's already a tried and tested hit. But I didn't realize until a few years later that, oh, that night I was watching Motley Crue. And because of that, it's not even the nostalgia factor. It's straight up like obviously it sticks in my brain all these years later because it's somehow part of my villain origin story.
Yeah.
It's funny. You both said it, and I'm going to agree 100%. This song is nostalgia. This song, the video is so in its time. Like, when I think of my early Motley fandom, like going backwards and like discovering more, this is the video where you're like, yes, is that the guy from Goonies? Like, this is so in its time, in its moment. It's obviously my second favorite Brownsville Station song, because my first, anyway,
Yes.
name another. But no, like, I'm with you. It just, to me, I have overplayed it because this probably somewhere in high school might have been number one in my ranking of Motley songs, because there's an attitude, there's a grit, there's a fun to it. It just over time, it
falls
just fell
to be
real hard.
Yeah.
Theater is only represented once, and even that has an asterisk on my list. So I'll just.
But I do want to add one more thing about this song, is that also seeing it as young as I did, that for what we know Motley Crue has done, like that smoking in the boys' room, in my little child mind, that is absolutely the worst thing you could do. This band is bad.
The ultimate rebellion.
They're smoking. Oh my God. They're going to go to the principal's office. Like, and then, but like, what a weird gateway song for like a little tot to hear Motley. And you're like, but then you're like, but it was, well, there's the, we went up the ramp to see what they would do. You're all I need. Okay.
All right, Carsen.
What two things super quick. Yeah. You bring up a good point. When I heard this, I mean, probably for years, I had no idea this was a cover song. So I didn't know Brownsville's, like, I had to me, and that's another reason why this was easy on the list for me. You have White Line, Radar Love. When I heard that for the first time, I knew that wasn't White Line. I knew that was a cover song, right? Like, to me, this is a Motley Crue song, because for years and years and years and years, it was a Motley Crue song. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's a cover, years later when I heard it. So
a song with no attitude at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. And then actually, I just want to say, I actually did work. This is totally true. Poplar Bluff I worked in the school bookstore, in the library. So put me to work in the school bookstore, check out.
You're like,
I literally was like checking out book. It was like during my free period. And if you were a senior, you could pick. And so like, I just went in there and hung out. And so
time for a Motley moment.
There you go, man. There you go.
You were living it.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you if I ever made it in the boys' room for the second verse. Smoking in the boys' room, but I was in the library.
Let's kick off your dirty dozen.
All right. So.
I still haven't given you my number 13.
Oh, did we not? Oh well,
no.
Then I guess you can talk.
I mean, you guys, whatever. Okay, so this is where I have to preface that, like I was talking earlier, that I went back
Carsen,
and kind
sorry,
of.
Was this on your list or not?
What, smoking? Yeah.
Okay, where was it?
Higher.
Oh, higher.
Number 6. It was number 6. But yeah, like Feel Good is. You got to let me talk about Feel Good, so we're going to get to that at some point. But so my list, like I alluded to earlier, like I am such a Too Fast stan, and I love a lot on Feel Good, but like it's so easy for me to just be like, yeah, Too Fast is going to be the bulk of my list. So instead, because we've been talking about this project for a while, I've been able to go in and actually listen to some Motley. And what I tried to do was pick some songs, like really try to be like, okay, what has been sticking with me? And I hope that I am making you both proud by picking something off Motley Crue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yep. Dropping Like Flies.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why.
Deep.
Man, even
hold on, I've got to dig for this one.
Exactly. Like, I'm shocked you have something off self-titled.
Yep.
But then if you would have told me you were going to go there, I would have thought, well, I know it's going to be one of these 3 songs, and it's not. Wow.
No. Here's why. Dropping Like Flies. This is where I'm like, no, we don't get into musicality, but this one I'm going to get into musicality. The drums on this. So, I mean, the drums on the album at large, right? But, and we always talk about Tommy's drums, but it's like the drums are heavy, but they're so good. And the guitar is so heavy. And then me, as such a Dr. Feelgood fan, that I pulled up all the lyrics for these songs that I didn't know as well. And Dropping Like Flies, I'm like, is this the like upside down of Time for Change? It feels like the bastard stepchild. Like that this is again, you're looking at it through it's the Jekyll and Hyde. To me, these songs actually go together, but there's a flip.
Wow, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to go back and pay attention to that now that you say that. I mean, I'm sure there's something there. Yeah, wow.
Well, because Time for Change feels like and I'm sure one of you has that song on their list, so I don't want to go too deep on it, but Time for Change, there's the hope and whatever. And Dropping Like Flies is like, oh no, we gave up. We tried. We were good. Like we were like, man, we tried to be hopeful. Y'all screwed it up, and this is what we're left with. And I do feel like there's a weird flipped kinship between the songs lyrically.
Fair enough. I obviously love this album. Dropping Like Flies is a great song. Not on my list, so I'm very, very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say much more because I have a lot more to say about this album.
I figured you do.
Not to capitalize on it, but when you're talking drums and all, we'll get there.
I knew you would.
All right. Yeah. So number 12.
You're number 12.
I'm
yeah.
up. We didn't skip anybody. Okay. Number 12. So again, I had a lot of things. When I was in like the 10, 11, 12 category, man, I had a lot of moving songs that came and went over the last month. So this was hard because I'm leaving off a lot of things, in place of this, but man, I gotta have this on the list. Tonight We Need a Lover off Theater of Pain. I love Theater. I love the rawness of it. I love everything about Theater of Pain. I know it, sonically doesn't sound the best, etc. I mean, but this song is one of my favorites on the album, hands down. This probably closely followed by, you got the ballad that I'm sure we'll talk about, but, closely followed by, Louder Than Hell. That could have made my list. I mean, I absolutely love Louder Than Hell. But Tonight We Need a Lover, I mean, one of my favorite Motley Crue lyrics ever is, 90,000 screaming watts. I mean, just the way he opens that. I just remember as a kid, I literally remember like vividly thinking like, is that true, man? Like a Motley Crue concert, man, it's 90,000 watts, man. 90,000
sounds like a lot of watts.
Sounds like a lot of watts. I don't even know what a watt is, but I want to go. I want to experience 90,000,
That was only 84.
And I can remember like throughout my life, like even like later in life, like look, silly stuff, like, you'd see like, a wattage on an amplifier or this or that. And like, it would pop into my head. It's like, that ain't 90,000, baby. That's not Motley Crue, So, yep.
This song for me is my number 2 on Theater. But not on this list. Like I said, only one song, but that's how high I think of it as well. I think it's a great song. Love the Spinal Tap nature of the title, because obviously Spinal Tap had Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight. Yeah. And I'm like, I always wondered, because this is a year later, I always wondered if this was kind of, obviously it's not called Tonight We Need a Lover Tonight, but that's what the lyric does.
Right. Always
wondered if there was just a bit of a wink and a nod. Because it's just too funny. But no, this is such a good song. And again, for Theater, again, it's got its detractors, it's got its lovers, but for me, I think Tonight We Need a Lover is a solid song. It would definitely make a best of playlist from Motley for me, but just didn't make this one.
Yeah. Now that you say it, man, there's a lot of tonights going on in this song. You're right. I mean,
tonight. We need a lover tonight.
It kind of reminds me of, like, again, I love this song, but it does get kind of repetitive. It's kind of like, merry-go-round and round. At some point, I mean, that they say that over and over, and it's like, dude, merry-go-round and round. We get Tonight We Need a Lover is similar. Now that you highlight it, there's a lot of tonights in there.
We'll talk about merry-go-round later.
What do you
spoiler?
What do you think, Jess?
I was pretty much right up there with, Tonight We Need a Lover Tonight. That I also, I bring the female perspective of this, that again, hearing that song, that was a song that I heard when I was like younger. And it still is, it's that danger of Motley that as we were coming into this music that, Poison and Def Leppard, and who, obviously I adore, and we've done a Def Leppard one, we'll talk about doing a Poison one. But I've always said, like, Motley, as young as I was, naive as I was, innocent as I was, I'm still like, those guys are going to mess you up. Like, girl,
Well,
like you need to stay back. And like tonight, we need a lover tonight is like, wait, there's like a pack of them?
yeah, it's
Like,
not I Need a Lover.
no, it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, you know, and I don't even know what those videos are yet. I don't know that those things exist. And I was just like, there's still the element of danger straight up in the title. But from a hook perspective, like you said, tonight, like the immediacy of like, again, the 90,000 watts, like I can be at the show that's 90,000 watts, and I know I'm gonna have my fist like every tonight, like it's I love a chant like that when I feel
Yeah.
like as an audience member, you've made it very
Nope.
easy for me to participate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny what you guys just said. It's like, whoa, hang on. There's not just one, there's like a pack of them, you know? I mean, you know, unfortunately, I don't, I mean, you know, Motley did that in a lot of their songs, you know, they're, you know, 10 Seconds to Love, you know, down at the subway. I mean, you know, they were kind of known for representing the full pack there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Carsen, what is your number 12?
Okay, my number 12. We've talked a lot about how these songs, because of the emotions and the memories that we have associated with them, and I'm not sure Caton even knows this. So at number 12 is Shout 97. And the reason is that the hype that we knew Motley was coming, because we all remember that ad with the band set up, the mic stands, the drums, and we all knew it was Motley. But they weren't saying it was Motley. And what Caton doesn't or may not know, if I told you this, I feel like it was years ago. Yes, exactly that. That's pretty sweet, and I don't know why I haven't stolen.
Is that a promo? Is that a promo shirt?
It
Yeah.
sure is.
Yeah.
I'll wear
Yeah.
it later. I'll wear it later.
Wow.
So one night I was at the ATO house at Ole Miss, and the fraternity brothers there would be kind enough to leave their doors open, and you could go into people's various rooms, and perhaps they would have a cocktail for you to imbibe in. And I am in some guy's room. I don't know who the guy is. And on his wall, he's got these like just the 8.5 by 11 from magazines pasted on his wall, and he's got the promo that's Motley with the mic stands and the drums and the guitars. And I'm like, who is this guy that knows that that's Motley? And like, I didn't know you that night. Like, we didn't meet until later. It was just, I happened to be at your fraternity house. And again, it's one of those memories that I have, much like, Friday night fights with smoking in the boys' room. I remember distinctly being at the Alpha Tau Omega house, and I walk into this bedroom of this guy who's got all this other memorabilia. But I remember distinctly seeing what became, oh my God, it's the American Music Awards performance of Shout 97. And
Yeah,
so that's why.
I vividly remember having that hanging. In fact, when you walked in my room, it was right there on the right by where the light switch was.
Light switch.
I vividly remember having it. I still have that. I still have that. So I just moved. Until I moved, I had a little music closet where I had a bunch of the old things over the years, whether it was high school, college, that I kept, and I put them back up on the wall. So it was like all the posters when I was a kid, and I had that hanging in there until a few months ago. So I still have that same pinhole, I still have it. And I vividly remember hanging that up because I was just so excited for what was to come. Like, oh my gosh. Never knew that story. I don't know that you've ever told me.
I don't think I've ever told you that. And I don't know when I finally put the pieces together, because you think I would have figured it out. Like, oh, hey, you're coming to do this radio show with me. And yet at some point over the years, I finally connected the dots. And I was like, well, of course that was Caton's room. Because I don't think I ever really went into your room after we were friends. Because I'm not sure you even lived in the house anymore after you and I met.
I don't think I did.
But,
I don't think I did.
Right. But I do remember walking in. That's again, cool. It was right there. It was next to the light switch. And I was like, holy crap, somebody else here knows. Because also it was that time where, again, it's 97. I'm like, who would know Motley Crue by sight of just the gear setup? And so that's why, like, Shout 97. I'm not going to say that. It's like one of those weird things, like, that's just straight up for my heart, that it fills me with such joy remembering how exciting it was to actually, like, who cared about the American Music Awards? But it was like, Motley's coming back. And then I
Oh
knew there
man,
was somebody else on campus who cared. And
yeah,
it was, so that's why, like, Shout, I'm not going to tell you, like, oh, it's the greatest, whatever, but it ranks so high for me in terms of the feels, my feels.
yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love hearing that story. I never knew that. So that's crazy that
Wild.
we didn't connect the dots that night. It's so funny. It's great.
These things take time. Shout 97 does make my list. It's actually number 8 on mine. Toss up between that and the original. After hearing Shout 97, I really wish there was just this mega mix of the two of them. I don't like the versus shout. Like, that's the one thing I'm like, I don't know what you were going for, but I don't like it. But I love the drum beat. I love the new vibe. Obviously, it's an old Vince vocal just layered on top of the new. Awesome. Don't care. Perfect. Leave it alone. I like that this is the version they do live in concert to this day. It obviously it puts some excitement into that song for them coming back. When I listen to the real Shout at the Devil, when it's not with that in the beginning, I'm sure we'll get to that later. But when I listen to it on its own, I feel like it feels a little slow. It feels plodding. Perfect for 1983, but more perfect for 1997 was this thing. And what a way, again, this is now the first reunion. So we talked about If I Die Tomorrow. This is the big reunion. This is the one that broke our hearts in 1992, 5 years later, which looking back seems like the longest 5 years in existence.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I was tuned in. I had that same Metal Edge magazine. What's Hot for 1997 was the cover. I had that back on my wall as well. And it flat out said in the magazine, I don't have a digital copy of this one yet, unfortunately. I have a physical one. I just can't find it right now. But it said flat out, like, in the What's Happening with Motley Crue, and it had a picture still of like John Corabi, and they're like, most likely John Corabi's out. And as alluded to on the back cover of this magazine, you might be seeing them at the American Music Awards. It flat out said it because they bought the spot. You know, what are you going to do? Yeah. So credit to Jerry Miller or Paul Gargano, whoever did it at that point. But Pam Anderson comes out in that big hat. And she says, they're back. They're back. Tommy Lee, Nikki Sixx, Mick Mars, and Vince Neil. Motley Crue. Yeah. You know what? That's all you needed. And then the black and white performance with the rough edges on it. I remember not liking that at the time because I'm like, I want to see Motley Crue. Damn it! I can't.
Me too.
It was so stroby.
I remember that. I was like, are we watching a video or is this a live performance? Like, it's so. I remember the same thing. It's funny you say that. I was super disappointed is the wrong word because I was so pumped. Anything would have done. It didn't matter. But I remember I was just like, kill the strobes. Like, we want to see the guys, the real thing, raw. But I mean, not 97 guys. It's funny. I love this. So, so Shout does make my list. And I love Shout 97. Love it. But I never really went there in my thinking of comparing the two and like which one's going to make my list. And I don't think it could have edged out the original for me. But maybe it could have. I love Shout 97. I do. It's funny. I totally know what you're referring to. And I agree with you on the abbreviated shouts. That frustrated me. I was like, why would you that's the most iconic intro. Like, you don't mess with that. So it's funny. We agree on that. Yeah.
All right. So my number 12 is not on either of your lists. I'm just going to flat out say it. This one goes to that album.
Oh.
Motley Crue Greatest Hits, released in 1998. 2 new songs on that album. There was the big single, Bitter Pill, and then there was Enslaved, which is my choice. This has the bluesy vibe. This feels like Mick Mars' solo album. This feels like the continuation of Bittersweet from Quaternary. I love the vibe. It feels as bluesy as it is. It also feels like a Generation Swine production era leftover without feeling like Swine at all, because it's got big hooks. Again, I just dig this song. I loved Bitter Pill when it came out, and then Enslaved just crept up and crept up. And again, lyrically phenomenal. And like I said, this is one that, like, when You're All I Need is falling off, it's falling off for something like Enslaved, which is crazy in a lot of ways. And yet, again, you listen to this song, and I love Vince's little Slave to Anyone or Someone Else. It's so good. Great performance. So all about this. One of the 2 tracks I believe Rush recorded before Tommy had to report to prison.
Is that
and
right?
Also, this was the first tour I saw Motley on. So this is my first one, was that Greatest Hits when Tommy's out of prison. But I will talk more about that with one of my later picks.
Okay.
It's called The Tease.
Go for it, Carson.
Not a lot to say about Enslaved.
I don't have a lot to say about Enslaved. I don't.
Okay.
So.
Nope. No, it's all good.
Hey, Hyde.
You do,
dude. We're on the same wavelength. I've just identified possibly the first gap in my list. I'm going to be real honest. I forgot about this song.
Yeah.
I forgot about it when I was doing this. I didn't forget about the song. I forgot about it in the last month. When I looked at the whole population of Crue songs, I forgot about this. I skipped this album. This, I promise you, I think there's probably a 75% chance this could have made my top 15 list had it been in the pot of what I was.
Yeah, it was not in my discography. I screwed up to be able to listen to it.
It's my second non-album track.
So my favorite, probably my favorite vocal moment in any Motley Crue song may be in Enslaved, John. When Vince, when he sing, and I just pulled up the lyrics to make sure I got it right. So be sure that you are making the best of life, and that you have the truth that's within you. Again, I go back, like, I don't know. There's something about when he sings that. So be sure that you are, man, I'm not going to try to sing it. But,
yep.
Yeah.
So good.
I loved it. And listen, I love Bitter Pill too.
Yes.
I forgot about that as well when I was doing this ranking. So
same.
I absolutely love these Motley B-sides, whatever you call them. And it's a shame I didn't ponder this one more over the last, in prepping for this. I just forgot about it. Wow. That's really cool.
Another wow. We're doing good.
I was caught off guard on that one. Yep.
Carson, what you got for number 11?
Well, if you could back up just a little bit so everybody can see your shirt. Yeah, so Generation Swine.
We'll get there. Track. We'll get there. It's my Generation
I figured.
Swine listening party t-shirt.
Yep. I figured you were going to have much to say about Swine. Part of the reason I am such a fan and I have an affinity for Swine is the literal thousands of hours I have spent in a car with you, Hyde. That Swine is always at the ready, and it is a song that is worthy of every road trip, and we will get into it more. I have no doubts.
Yeah, Brandon.
Which song was that specifically, Brandon? Was it Rocket Ship?
Excuse me. Can you not spoil my number one?
So, are you saying the title track of Generation Swine is
my number 11?
Number 11. It's my number 10. So I'll just go into it. So
yeah,
we were
so
that close. Yeah, Swine is that close. Again, you know how much I love this, and it speaks to the power of Motley's stuff. That as much as I love Generation Swine, I love this song. It's number 10. Again, this was probably the most Motley sounding song on Generation Swine. I've said to this day, this should have been your first single. If you were trying to,
should have been the lead off on the album too. Honestly, it hits so hard for me.
We'll get into that.
Okay. Okay.
I just think that Afraid had a very 90s sound, so it's Motley trying to appeal, not in writing it, but in releasing it as a single, trying to appeal to what was happening in the moment. And I understand that because that's what you got to do. You got to, if you want to get it played, it's got to sound like what else is on the radio. But when you're trying to make that statement to your fans that, guys, we're back, like, remember that band you love that you probably look, I've said it before, not to go off on a diatribe. If you want to talk about hair bands, glam rock, whatever you want to call it, dying, the scene dying, it's such a disservice to the history of it that Nirvana came in and wiped it all out. I've said to this day, Motley Crue dumping Vince is a catalyst in the death knell for these bands.
Oh,
because
wow. I've never thought of that.
if Motley had stayed together, put out an album, let's say in 93, because we're talking Feel Good's 89, Decade is 91. 2 years later, we could have a brand new album, right? That's not unfathomable. If they'd put out an album in 93, Motley is big enough. They're playing the stadiums. They're playing the arenas. Motley could have carried the banner a little bit. Don't get me wrong, just like a Skid Row or a Queensryche, they would have gone out with your Typo Negatives or your Panteras opening for them. And that's cool. But I think it would have been, I think when Vince is dumped by Motley, it's really like, this is where the scene is over, because that huge band has just said, we're getting rid of that little piece that actually keeps us glam. Let's be real. The blonde guy is what keeps you there. And I've said it before, that the Nirvana thing, I'm not saying it didn't contribute, but you look back and I think Motley in 92 is the reason that everybody just begins to lose a little bit of interest.
I agree with that too, because I also say Motley is the one band, because I mean, GNR somewhat, but because Axl had his stuff, but straight up, when you were talking about the danger that was Motley Crue, that even playing stadiums, playing these big arena shows, you still felt like Motley, the guys were all wild cards, but you needed the four in order for that danger to keep going, because I think with that danger, had it continued going in that entity that is those four guys through 92, 93, 94, that you might try to be like, oh, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna crap on this band that I loved a year ago. But like Motley and Motley fans would still, might beat me up for real. Like, because I think Motley fans were that way too. But when you get rid of Vince and suddenly you've now changed the DNA of the band, I think it took the sales out of those, like Crue, like you were talking about, Crue fans are the best, F the rest, that you have, you kind of left them scattered to the wind. And that's why, had you kept that fandom together, it could have, sure, things still would have changed, but you're right, it wouldn't be I don't want to say death knell, but it wouldn't have been the revisionist death knell. And I think you're right, that Vince leaving should have so much, or Vince being fired, whatever, but Vince being gone, that should have so much more play in the conversation of the transition of music. And you're absolutely right that it doesn't get the recognition that it should for the cultural shift that it was.
I've never thought about that ever, and I think it's an excellent point. It has never crossed my mind. I've never thought about that. I think it's a extremely valid point, because you're right. You think about these these glam bands and these even though they weren't calling it that then, hair metal bands that went out of fashion so quickly when glam happened, etc., right around this same time that they dumped Vince. Even with, if that was going to fall out of fashion, there was a few bands that were big enough and dangerous enough, like you said, that weren't going to fall out of fashion, right? Guns N' Roses never totally, right? People didn't talk about Guns N' Roses like they did Trickster and Warrant and stuff like that when that stuff fell out of fashion. It was still, it was still cool enough if you were a GNR fan during those grunge days and stuff. Crue would have been the same way, I think, because they had that danger to them. It's like, wasn't it Nikki Sixx that used to say, what did he say? Like, yeah, we look like this with all this makeup, but I'll still kick your ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's like, careful with the makeup comments. I've never thought about that. It's a great point. I mean, had Had they not, that was for everyone to see on a grand scale. That was for everyone to see that the biggest, hair metal glam rock band in the world feels like they have to make a change. And people knew they were trying to disassociate with, like you said, the blonde guy, the glam rock image. They knew things. So if they're going to do it, geez, it clearly is not going to be cool anymore. We all have to do it. Man, it's a big contributing factor.
Well, and if you look, like, let's say, just taking at the time, I think I'll make an arguable quick list off the top of my head. Let's take your top 5 bands who fit into that world. In 1992, I would say Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and I don't know, there's got to be somebody else. But like Guns N' Roses. That's what I was thinking. All right. So Guns N' Roses is about to start a period of inactivity. Right, so they're down, like, because they're still on tour through 93, but Spaghetti Incident becomes like, this isn't what we want from Guns N' Roses. We don't want your cover songs. We're ready for the new thing, and that new thing doesn't happen for another 15 years. So for all intents and purposes, from a recording artist standpoint, GNR is down. Poison has the very public CeCe DeVille performance breakup, so Poison loses an integral member of the group. Down. Def Leppard, Bon Jovi continue to have hits into 93, in 94, between Two Steps Behind and Always, and even like I think Keep the Faith is in there. Like
Bed of Roses, maybe.
Yeah. So the point is, because Bed of Roses is these days, which is into 95. So those two bands have this moment where they're still okay. Leopard eventually falls off too because they go inactive between 94 and then the end of 95, and then put out Slang. All that leaves you with is Motley, and Motley goes down because they release Vince. Like, it's this amazing, all the bad things just happening at once, that between 91 and 93, these bands don't look anything like they did in 1990. And the newer guys who are all having their heyday from 86 on and even the 88 on, they're not established enough to carry it. Warrant, Winger, they can't carry it because you need that rooted band to get you there. And those rooted bands were all facing rough days of their own doing. So I've always said, it's like the rise happens while the fall is happening. It's not so much that like, oh, I'm Nirvana and oh, nope, sorry, you're dead. It's literally like, we're going down and you're ramping up on us.
So do you think Hyde? I mean, this is interesting because I'm thinking
totally
about
sidetracked.
I'm thinking about this as for the first time as I say it. I wonder if there's a scenario that I think grunge was going to eclipse glam rock, hair metal, whatever you want to call it. But I wonder I think it's a valid statement. Had Vince not left Motley Crue, right?
Yep.
Do you think there could have been a scenario that those bands would have been regulated down to not playing clubs with 50 people there, but maybe Nirvana and Soundgarden would have been playing the arenas and the glam bands would have been playing theaters?
Yep.
So maybe they don't get relegated all the way down,
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't think they get wiped off the face of the earth. I think you see what happens into the 70s, which is into the 80s, which in the beginning of MTV, like one of the first MTV concerts, not the first, but is Rush. Grace Under Pressure in 1983. They played this whole concert. Rush is already a 10-year-old band, but they're allowed to hang in the 80s, even though they sound nothing like the new sound. Kiss tries to embrace the 80s sound, but they're still allowed to hang. Like, we didn't just say you're out when it came to rock. Now, again, disco, pop, always fads, but we didn't just say a whole rock genre has lost its footing and isn't worth crap anymore. It was literally, when your big guys aren't giving you much of anything, why should I pay attention to the little guys? Again, you know what?
You need an anchor on a tour.
Yes.
Let's be fair.
Yeah.
If you are a band, even if you've got 4 solid rock hits, you still need to be taken out by
100%.
that bigger band. And when those bigger bands have either imploded or they've gone dormant, or like in the case of a Bon Jovi, like they just didn't need anybody, so they were kind of on their own. But when you think about that from logistics, from touring logistics, and that, you know, it's one thing. Also, don't forget the, like, I mean, this is where we're really going off the rails, but the economic and cultural and political landscape of literally that time, that if you are looking to spend money on a concert and you don't get that bang for your buck anymore that like Motley is bringing out, like when I saw Feel Good, and granted that's 89, 90, but it was like Tesla's on the bill with them. Wow, that's two great bands that you just got your lawn ticket for that was $18, $19. But if you suddenly don't have that massive band to make it worth it, then those other bands are literally just floundering.
I think we've stumbled upon, we're gonna do a what if series.
I think we could.
What ifs in rock and roll.
Yeah, so, I love it. I love it. So Generation Swine, super quick.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it. Easily could have made my list. Absolute favorite track from the album. You know, I mean, amazing opener. It is the opener, right? Yeah.
No, track 4.
No? Okay. Yeah. What's the opener?
Find Myself.
Odd
Sung by
opener.
Nikki
Okay.
Sixx.
That's why I said I thought Swine would have been a great opener, but
yeah, to me, Swine's the opener in my head. But anyway, yeah, I love it. I love the tune. Back in Your Face, Such a Disgrace. I mean, it was perfect. Motley Crue. We're back again. You know, another kind of we're back type deal. He's back after Karabi.
Yep.
I loved it. Yeah, great pick.
Caton, you're number 11.
All right, my number 11. This could have been higher.
We are an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
but we're gonna have some repeats too. So
that's what I figure. I anticipate that.
Yeah, this could have been higher for sure. But a very solid, definite in my top 15, and that's Drift Away from Self-Titled.
Good one.
So, I mean, hands down, one of my favorite Motley Crue ballads. Very different, you know, than the other Motley Crue ballads with Vince. I love it. I think the lyrics are absolutely beautiful and haunting in this song, both beautiful and haunting. I mean, I jotted a few down because I love them so much. I mean, a simple man with memories of those long lost golden days, a tired man, I'll make the best of another lonely day. And then my favorite, and this is the most power. I mean, this just knocks you down when you hear it. I think, you know, I'm an honest man who refused the shade on a hot and lonely day. Refused the shade on a hot. To me, like you know, I love Nikki Sixx as a lyricist. I'm assuming he wrote that. I don't know. You know, he's the primary lyricist for Crue.
Yep.
Whoever wrote that, boy, you know, the lyrics of that song, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's Karabi's voice is beautiful on it. I love Self-Titled. I love that album. You know, what we were just talking about, you know, it'd be interesting to see if they never got rid of Vince and what that would have done to the musical climate, etc. You know, would we have traded that because we wouldn't have gotten Self-Titled? Ooh, that's a big question. That's a side podcast.
Another what if
for you there. So anyway, Drift Away. What do you guys think?
I actually love it. Great song. This is, I'll get into it more because I've got more to say about 94 and I'll say it later. But the one thing I'll say for right now, at 13 years old that I was when this album came out, it's not what I wanted from Motley Crue. At 23, 33, 43, and 44, this was the exact album I want from Motley Crue. Like, it's not what you think of as Motley, of course, but man, it was, when you look back, like it's like the perfect Gen X, because the lyrics you're giving me there, it's like that's where everybody was. Like Carsen said, the economic times, to ignore all of that and put out party anthem stuff wouldn't make sense. Not that Motley was party anthem anyway, but like what they did, like Nikki has a knack of knowing where the world is. And some people will call that selling out. Some people will call it whatever. I look at it as your fingers on the pulse. And if you don't allow what's happening now to influence you, you'll always sound the way you did. And so when I hear that, like, yeah, those lyrics, you're going, man, that's not something I can even picture Vince Neil singing on Girls, Girls, Girls. And yet, Dancing on Glass, those lyrics, I could hear John Corabi singing in my head 100%. So Nicky's always been there. Just going to give him credit where it's due. Carsen.
Yeah, like you said, at 13, this isn't the album that I wanted for Motley. I resisted self-titled for so long. Hyde can attest to that. Then you move to Nashville. A lot of other people live in Nashville, including John Corabi. And you see John Corabi popping up at various events, and John Corabi will play a charity show, and John Corabi will just sit up. He opens for Winger and Tom Kiefer with a guitar, and you're like, my God, this guy is great. And now I need to go back and listen to the self-titled because I do appreciate how great this guy is. And I saw him in the produce section at Kroger. So he's my neighbor now, and I need to get into it. And it's not like and part of the reason I think I resisted so much as a kid is I wanted the bombast and the excess from Motley because that's what they were. As an adult, like you said, the lyrics specifically in Drift Away, shoot, those hit and those hurt. And like I said, it's another one of those songs that the older I get, the more I understand and the more I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with 94 and self-titled, and I'm sure, like you said, we'll get to it more. I resisted it too. I don't think there's a kid out there that didn't resist it. And that's why it not only took the sales out of the fan base, it took the sales out of the record stores too. Let's be honest. So, I mean, a lot of people resisted it, right? I would love to know, I'd love to do a poll with Motley Crue fans our age now, because I think there's some commonality there that we would see where a lot of people resisted it, like the three of us, and now we adore it in our 40s. Right. So, I mean, I think of any Motley Crue album, it's probably aged the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely up there.
You listen to this album top to bottom, and it's, I mean, sonically, I think we may go to our graves and there's not going to be an album sonically that sounds as good as this album. The drums, I mean, it is perfection. It is perfection. And so it's just aged really well to me. So, yeah. All right. What's up?
All right. My number 11. I was going to talk about it, but then I heard some kids telling me how they'd lost all their faith in the way. Time for Change. Again, I love it. And the fact that it didn't make my top 10 is as shocking to me as anything when I was putting this together. Like Caton said, I wanted to see that tour just to hear Time for Change live. It just didn't come anywhere near me. And at the time, it just wasn't feasible to get where I needed to go. Love it. Like, again, it's one of those weird songs that Time for Change, and then soon enough, they made one, if we don't think about Decade of Decadence happening there. But like, it was Time for Change, whatever that is. And the song works. The production is stellar on it. Bob Rock really, I think, brought the end of that song to life. You can't picture that song on one of the previous 4 Motley albums for the sound of it. Like, we're not like, it's a ballad. They had Home Sweet Home. They had other things. It ain't going to fit on those. You needed someone who could do with that song what that song deserves. So Time for Change, just missing my top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that song.
Is it on your list, Caton?
It is not. It was a late.
What?
I know.
Oh my God! I really thought the both of you were gonna have.
Oh,
you earned a wow.
Listen, it was a late come off my list, so it was on it. It was, and I'll be honest with you. This was just in the last few days. You remember I texted you guys and said, "Wow, my list is still fluid." I thought it was baked. Yeah. Time for Change was on there. Time for Change is, I mean, for decades, it was my favorite Motley Crue ballad for sure, without a doubt. Within, when I did this process, right, to prep for this, You're All I Need took its spot. I let You're All I Need. I mean, I wasn't going to throw a million ballads on here. Maybe I shouldn't have viewed it that way. But yeah, I mean, again, I hopped on a plane just to hear that song,
Yeah.
and it could have been on here. So this is the second instance of the night where you have me questioning myself a little bit, John. The first was it Enslaved? I think it was Enslaved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if I die tomorrow, you were kind of, I think you were
You
kind
know,
of, damn.
I have heard not from you two. I have heard some people that have commented to me, and it surprised me. I've made the comment like, "Oh, Time for Change. That's one of Crue's best ballads, hands down." And like, it was a deep cut. I've heard from people, they're like, "Oh man, I thought that song was like total cheese." I don't see that. I've never like. I would think you could argue that of some other ballads of Motley Crue and other bands, right? I mean, you could argue that with Without You more than you could because Time for Change wasn't about a breakup, a typical ballad content.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So to me, it wasn't cheesy at all. I just wondered y'all's thoughts on that, because I vividly remember hearing several people make that comment about Time for Change, and I'm like, I really don't get what you're saying.
I think we're going to do another podcast on Wind of Change versus Time for Change, the battle of the ballad. But I think even Wind of Change comes out in '90. That is after this song. Like, it's just interesting. Everybody felt something in the air. I don't get me wrong. Again, it's the production. It's fantastic. I could see where someone thinks it's cheesy, but it's not. Like, I love the song. I'm not dogging it, but like Without You is far more cheesy.
Oh,
if you want to go, and again, that doesn't mean it's bad. Without You is typical. Without You is a very basic ballad that the execution is phenomenal. So again, not talking ill of it, but I don't want to, unless that's on anyone's list, I don't want to talk any more about it.
What I will say about Time for Change, because Hyde can attest to, for many, many, many years, I was that girl. Oh my God, this is so cheesy. Oh my God, it felt false. It felt false to me.
Maybe you are who I am remembering then.
But here's what I'm going to say, that going through and listening, and one of the things that you brought up in this podcast and has made it, I think, articulate more for me is, wow, the diversity in Motley ballads. That when you talk about the difference between You're All I Need, and we're going to get into Home Sweet Home, spoiler, but Time for Change, like Without You, you know what? Yeah, it is kind of cheesy. It is kind of trite. I feel like Without You, any of us could have written, but isn't like Without You, wasn't that like Tommy wrote that? Didn't he write that for Heather? Why do I remember that?
I think it was written about Tommy.
Yeah, it might have been about
Heather. Okay,
Nikki
maybe
wrote
that's
it, but
whatever.
I'm pretty sure Nikki wrote it. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
So, yeah,
definitely about Tommy and Heather.
Yeah, you're asking me to go back to like when I was a kid and I devoured these magazines. So that's for whatever reason the fold in my brain. But when you actually now, again, going at it from a critical, taking my, little 12-year-old self who was like, this isn't what I want from Motley Crue. That, like you said, there's the, not just the hopefulness, but even like the call to action of it, even musically. It ramps up to da-na-na, change. Like,
the key change is fantastic.
That's the thing. Like, we're hammering home. Like, we're calling you to do this. We there are kids who have lost faith. We're overdue, child. Like, it is musically, it mirrors the lyrics in that call to action. So there's actually, to me, so much going on with various depths with it. And it really, just listening to the two of you talk about some of our songs up in here, that, wow, there is such a variety that, like what Motley does with ballads, that I don't know many other bands can claim.
Yeah. I'm really glad this made a list. I'm glad this made your list, because I did have regrets letting it fall off my list. And then as you were presenting your reason why it's on your list, I was really kind of second guessing. So I'm glad it made a list, because it's hands down one of their best ballads, in my opinion.
We'll just say every song is number 16. It's the easiest way to do it. Did anyone else not do 11?
No.
Okay, so we're on to 10. Again, mine was Generation Swine. We've already talked about it.
Mine was Don't Go Away Mad. We've already talked about it.
Peyton.
Okay.
Challenge accepted.
Mine is challenge accepted. Mine is, again, man, this could have been higher, and this was hard. I was surprised it dropped to where it did. Mine's Home Sweet Home. So let's
Home
get into
Sweet
it.
Home is my number 9.
It's my
Okay.
number 9.
Okay,
So-
obviously we all thought it was in
It
number
was
5.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is for Home Sweet Home for me. This is one that has fallen victim to what we talked about, Hyde, where things fall down the pecking order. At no fault of the song, we're to blame for overplay and all that. But it was one that, you know, I think it's one of the best ballads of the genre. So
Yes.
not just Motley Crue, of the genre. I think it's one of the few ballads from the genre. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't thought about this. I was going to say maybe the only ballad from the genre, but I mean, everybody knows that piano intro. And I'll give you an example of this. I mean, I was not too long ago, I was at my sister's, and she has boys, and one of them plays the piano really, really well. And I got on the piano and I started playing Home Sweet Home. All I know is like just how to pack out the intro, and he's phenomenal. But he couldn't name a single Motley Crue song. No doubt about it. But he was like, "Oh, scoot over. You want me to play that properly?" And he played the entire thing, and I was like almost crying. But my point is, he knew that as a musical piece, a musical composite, you know, that like, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is like probably the only song he knew of 80s glam rock." Everybody knows Home Sweet Home. It defined the generation. It was the power ballad of all power ballads. Vince humming at the end. I mean, if that doesn't pull on your heartstrings, come on, you don't have a heart. So yeah, Home Sweet Home. That's what I'll say about it.
Yeah.
No, all right.
We're pointing at each other.
All right, so I'll go into this one. This makes my list, but I was particular about this. This is why I said one Theater of Pain song makes my list, but with an asterisk. I'm choosing the Raw Tracks version from Motley Crue Raw Tracks, which has amplified drums. So why I love Home Sweet Home. Heartstrings are great. I'm in. It's a perfect song. Like everything is together. But let's talk about the individual members and what they do on this. Nikki writing it. To write this song at whatever, I don't think he's even 30 yet. Like the whimsical, it's all there. Let's talk about Vince. Vince puts it out. Sounds right. I love that, like his voice like cracking in the end of the "I'm on my ways," like those like toward the end of the song after the solo. I love the way he sounds there. It's one of my favorite Vince Neil vocal performances. Let's talk Mick Mars. And this is where I get bugged when like a Mick Mars doesn't show up on great guitar lists, because the solo in Home Sweet Home is sing-alongable. You can sing that entire thing. It's beautifully crafted. This is not a guy who ripped arpeggios in a studio. This is a guy who crafted something to go into this song and nailed it. Hits the emotion of it with the Home Sweet Home is behind it. And it just, again, you can sing along to every note of it. And that to me is an awesome solo when it is melodic as well as this amazing lead. Now let's go into Tommy Lee. With the exception of maybe Kiss Forever and Eric Carr, no drummer has ever gone so hard on a ballad. That huge running down the toms fill with "Nothing Keeps Me Together" at the seams. I used to just rewind that piece over and over again. It's slow. He doesn't rush it in any way. And it feels like his kit is 1.5 miles long and he's just going all the way down it's incredible. And like I say, it's just every member brings this together. This is a best of Motley Crue in one song. I just happen to love those drums so much that remix has the amplified drums that, to me, I happen to love that version. I will also give a special note to the lewd, crude, and tattooed version. The DVD, Samantha Maloney on drums, Mick Mars playing the acoustic 12-string guitar doing the intro. I just
Oh,
happen to love it. It's just really cool. And at the time, someone put out a sampler CD for the Maximum Rock tour, and it had like 3 songs from Motley, 3 from Anthrax, 3 from Megadeth. And it was that song, a live version, which I don't know if it's the same one that ended up on that DVD or not, but I've had that CD ever since. And that version is on my playlist. I just, Mick did a great job with it. And I also firmly remember just going to that tour in Connecticut, and somebody threw a battery at Vince Neil's head, and he left the stage during the song. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Who throws batteries? Like, what did you during Home Sweet Home? He came out, they did the song, he finished the show. But it's like, what on earth? Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand people, but that's just a memory I have with the song. But again,
Dirtbag's gonna dirtbag.
It's
especially
like,
during home sweet. I mean, if you're going to
That's
throw
the thing.
something, throw it during kickstart. I mean, come on,
Right.
you know.
So yeah, so that takes care of my number 9. Carson, what do you have to say about?
Yeah, Home
Sweet
Sweet
Home?
Home is all like I know we're talking songs, but there's so much Motley that I can't talk about without referencing the visual, which is amazingly at least my first experience with the band showing here's the highlights of the concert that I want to be at. And the fans, like the shot of Vince singing to that girl, and she's in his face and he's in hers, because the passion that she has for this music and that they've got, and that crowd is, they're so like in sync, they're so tight, and they're one in the moment. And then you also get the like, oh my God, I'm so, whether it's alcohol, drugs, tired, like exhaustion, where like we've got to pick you up to get you going. And Home Sweet Home, again, going back, we've talked about the ballad part, but here's another ballad from Motley that's not, like, when people talk about, especially with this genre, people talk about ballads, you think love songs. You think, straight up, like relationship, romantic relationship, heteronormative relationship, whatever it is you want to call it. And it's like, ballads can be about other things. And Home Sweet Home, to me, was my first introduction to a band's ballad that, holy crap, so much more meaningful than romantic love. That there's so much more in our lives. And it's also, when you're growing with music, the way we've been fortunate to, that we were exposed to this stuff so young, that Home Sweet Home is that song that, I'm sure we've all heard it a million times. We've heard it in a million places. We've heard it wherever, and it still hits, and it will hit you hard, and it will hit you in different ways.
Yeah.
No, I will say, no love for the Decade of Decadence version. Don't like the real piano.
No, I don't either.
Yeah. It still hits. I mean, like I said, I think in some ways it's fallen victim of what we talked about, how overplay, and it can go, like, it's interesting that it's all number 9 and 10 on our list. I find that pretty interesting that it fell to kind of to that. But I referenced it earlier. You say it still hits, and it hits differently depending on where you are in life. When I hear Vince humming at the end of that song, that hits me and hits me in the feels more than maybe anything they've ever done. Him humming that song out. I don't know why. It just does it every time. Got to give a shout out to the video too. Home Sweet Home was the video where it started with the tour bus, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I as a kid, I thought that was just the coolest intro to any video. I just thought it was just thinking about Motley Crue coming down the highway, and like the pot. I remember like thinking things like, that's a real bus, like on a real road. Like, other cars would have been on that road. Like, literally, there is a possibility in this world you could be in a car, and if you're in between the towns they're going to, you could be looking at Motley Crue's bus. Like, that could happen. I remember that stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like, that video is what did it. I was like, man, they're really on a bus, and there's
It makes it
cars
real.
driving by. It makes it
does.
real.
Yep.
So,
And doesn't make them any less larger than life.
No.
But it's a juxtaposition of, they're still superheroes in our mind, and yet there is an attainability that perhaps before that video you don't quite realize.
It creates
You're
a
right. That is
fantasy.
Mhm.
And it is, but that's another image though that's so great. You're right. Just that opening shot of the tour bus.
But that
You're
wasn't a
right. It creates a
possibility.
fantasy.
That wasn't a possibility when they got to Feel Good because they were taking their private jet everywhere. So no
That's
buses.
Life, man. It's tough life.
facts though. Big facts.
All right, so we took care of our number 9. So Caton, it's on you again.
All right, it's on me. All right, let's see. Number 9 for me is Looks That Kill.
Oh.
So, Shout at the Devil is I think it's my favorite Motley Crue album. It's hard, guys. I mean, Shout at the Devil and Too Fast, Too Fast may be my favorite, but I've said my whole life that Shout at the Devil is my favorite Crue album, and I probably have to stick with that. I have more songs from Too Fast on my list than I do Shout, so it's kind of I'm kind of a contradiction. I get that. But look, I love Looks That Kill. To me, as a kid, it was always kind of like, maybe because the videos were similar and that whole, all this was, just so similar. Everything was this, which I loved. I kind of always, viewed like Looks That Kill and Too Young to Fall in Love. It's kind of like I thought they were similar-ish type songs, similar-ish type videos. And
I think it's because the videos kind of go together.
yeah, yeah.
Post-apocalyptic world. They're in that image.
That's right. I think you're right, Hyde. And but between the two, Looks That Kill always was just I just thought that song was insane. And still love it. Still love it. Looks That Kill.
This is one that is the danger of overplay. It's I think I had it as number 3 or 4 on Shout for me. Too Young to Fall in Love is actually above it in my world. So we're close. But again, it's a solid song when you think about it as like their first, let's say, record company funded single, like, the first thing with an album that they didn't make themselves. It's a strong statement. And when you look at it, to me, it's a bit ahead of time in 83. It's something that you could see being a lot bigger, let's say in 85. And yet they were smart enough in 85 to go, no, different image. You got used to that, but here's a different image because now other guys look like we did there. So now we're going to do this. Motley was always, again, people like to say it was trend hopping. I'm like, I think it was just that they were that step above. They were that step ahead. So Looks That Kill, it's such a good song. The riff is good. The big hey in the middle is just fun when you're there live. Like, it just works. But again, in my world, just a victim of overplay.
Yeah, and I'll look at that song with the kind of call and response, like you said, the crowd interaction with Looks That Kill is always going to be like a top live moment. But also, I think lyrically, for coming out on Shout, that when you think about the bands that maybe came 3, 4, 5 years later, Looks That Kill lyrically, to me, like you were kind of talking about Hyde saying like 85, lyrically, that song, not necessarily musically, but lyrically makes more sense for me in 87. Because it's getting a little, again, it's the sleaze, which really came to its heyday in the latter part of the decade. And yet here's Motley doing it on the second album. And of course they're dangerous. They're in it. But I think that song, you could make an argument, like you could get out the red strings and tie it to so many other songs that came 4 or 5 years later. That I think maybe it won't get the credit for, but I do believe there's so much influence from the lyrics that Looks That Kill to other bands and other songs.
Oh yeah, you think a lot of bands probably formed on the basis of that song.
Yeah,
and said, "Yep, now I got something that makes me want to do this." I can see it.
I love the big hey in the middle for sure. You referenced that, and I also love the opening lyric with Vince. Now listen up. I always thought that was just a cool.
Call to
cool way to
action.
open that. Yeah.
I'm acknowledging there's an audience. I'm not just singing this to myself in the shower.
That's right.
Just to talk real quick about it, because my number 8 was Shout at the Devil, Shout 97, which we already talked about. But I want to talk about, like, it's so iconic, this era of Motley. The look, like the cheeks on Mick, like the concave looking cheeks, the shading, the 2 lines on Tommy. So much so that there's a wrestler named Toni Storm. She's a wrestler out of I believe the UK. Her original gimmick look is the 2 stripes and trying to really channel like Too Fast for Love / Shout at the Devil.
Oh, really?
Motley Crue. She has a completely different vibe now. Now she channels like 30s movies, which of course works for me. But like some of her gear looks like that old Motley logo, the old like Tony Storm with umlauts, you know, because you can, like, it's there. And she's younger. I don't even know if she's in her 30s yet. And there she is being completely influenced by these early Motley albums and taking no other better place where you can get away wearing makeup like this than in a wrestling ring. And she just sat there and said, yep, 2 stripes, red lipstick. Who am I? And 90% of the audience ain't going to know. But those who know go, all right, I'm a little older, but I think I like you. I think you're pretty cool. So just wanted to talk about that because, like I said, Shout 97 was my number 8. Carsen, what was your 8?
Livewire.
Oh,
which we have talked about.
That's true. We did. Caton, back to you.
It'll be a lot too fast, y'all. I'm just warning you.
Back to me. All right. Well, listen, I'm keeping it with Shout at the Devil right here. So cool. My did we say 8? Is that what we're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. My 8 is Knock 'Em Dead, Kid.
Great song.
It is hands down one of my favorites on the album. I mean, you want to talk about dangerous sounding vocals. I mean, in the heat of the night, you know, you went and blackened my eyes, you know, you'll see the red in my eyes. You're going to take my disease. I mean, oh my gosh, what is going on here, dude? What is this guy singing about? I love that song. You touched on this, Hyde. We've talked about this recently, the 3 of us. Shout, the imagery of Shout, right? I mean, everything you just referenced, right? The deals on Tommy's cheeks. I mean, you know, Mick Mars, the shadowing. I mean, Vince, there's no image, period. This is not even, you know, and you guys like know how I feel about Striper, for example, and, you know, the yellow and black, that was a bold image. Even if you call it corny, it was bold. There's no image that any band's ever done for a single album, because Motley Crue, you know, their image changed, as you just referenced. Think about Theater after this. They're wearing pink and lace and all that. There's no moment in time of any band in the genre where I think that image is as powerful and grabbed me as much from a cool factor perspective as Motley Crue Shout at the Devil. And I felt that way when I was 11, 12 years old, and I feel that way 48 years old today. It's the coolest image that any band's ever done. I think it's the coolest image, and that maybe that's part of the reason why it's always been my favorite Motley Crue album, is because I just think this was the image, and it still is. When I think if you look up rock star in the dictionary, this is what you should see. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I think Vince Neil and that bleach blonde hair, and I don't even know what you call that. I
would call it a harness. I said it was. I
love this harness that loved it.
It's something He-Man would have worn.
Yeah. And
but
it's just,
again, but these guys were supposed to be larger than life, which is what I think we all gravitated to. Is that that we love the bombast, and we love the pageantry, and we love the imagery. Like, even if, like you said, being scared of a pentagram, because look, like, we were young, and it's like, oh, that's scary stuff. And I might have been too scared to go near Eddie in the record store. So like Iron Maiden, I didn't come to until later because frankly, it scared me. But Shout was when you're a kid and you're pushing your boundaries. So like you said, you know, like your mom sees the pentagram, you're like, but you're like, well, I'm gonna sneak it and get away with something. And like, even when you're talking about the imagery on 10 Seconds to Love, like, you know, the red eyes, that I may not understand all the lyrics at that age, you know, because also you're listening, but it's like, Shout at the Devil, red eyes. Like there's so much that you're planting in my head at that point. And that's part of the, again, the personas that I think we attached to this band while we were growing up.
Yeah. I'll tell you another weird thing to think about that Hyde, you got me thinking about it. Obviously I was aware of this. It's just, you don't always keep the dominoes lined up in the right order in your head, but it is crazy. And I love the Theater of Pain imagery. I love the pink and the I've told you I loved everything about Theater of Pain. But it's crazy that that image is what came after Shout at the Devil. I've never really sat and thought about like, wow, that was the album that came after Shout at the Devil.
Talk about guts, honestly.
And you
guts.
can't be any different than this image. Then think about the Home Sweet Home video with Vince wearing the pink. Wasn't he wearing pink tights, the pink pants?
Yeah, they're like purple leather pants.
It's crazy. Was what I mean. They didn't. My point is, they went from this image, which was just street. To me, this was just like street. This was sleaze before there was sleaze, right? You know, I think about sleaze, and you joke with me, Jess, all the time about, you know, me talking about subgenres and this, and, you know, Faster Pussycat, the first LA Guns, right? Like, you know, Pretty Boy Floyd, that's sleaze, man, right? This was kind of, to me, 10 Seconds to Love. Dude, that is sleaze before those other bands did sleaze, in my opinion. And it's just interesting that they went from that street sleaze imagery to something so night and day different on Theater of Pain. It did take guts to do. It was a bold move.
Yep.
Also the bold move aesthetically of changing the logo.
Every
when
time.
you think about that the logos keep changing. And it's like, again, what do they talk about with advertising? First thing, branding. Don't confuse people. Like, make it easy. And they're like, nah, we're just going to keep changing and putting that stuff in there.
Yep. Motley's like, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So coming in now, we're at number 7, I believe. So Carsen, what you got at 7?
All right. Like, here's the deal. Y'all, I love my hits. That's it. So there's some deep ones coming up, but for the most part, you're going to get a lot of hits. Kickstart My Heart. I don't care. You can tell me you've heard it at every sporting event. I don't care. You've heard it at every gym class you've ever taken. I don't care. When you hear the rev and you know, and when the guitar kicks in, and I don't know, for some reason, every time the guitar kicks in, I start singing like Take Me to the Top, which I'm sure is my Too Fast influence. But it's like, you cannot be cool during Kickstart. It is not possible. I don't care how many times I hear Kickstart. It is still like, this is also musically, this band is firing. I'm so emphatic that my earbud is falling out. This band is firing on all cylinders in this song. And I know part of this production, and that, like, yes, you do have an amazing producer in there who put, all right, we are going to, like, they had them at the starting gate, and those horses, they put the rabbit in front of them, and they just kept teasing. They kept teasing. And finally those gates opened and they all went, because it's just, that is such a storm. It is hitting you. It is a hurricane. It is a tornado. It never lets up until we get to a slight breakdown. And it's like, oh, you gave me a chance to breathe, and then I'm back into it. But
you didn't.
You know, yeah, it's like,
because that breakdown
is still,
again, as a 9-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid, years gone by, I'd say we've kicked some ass and we're still kicking it. Like, oh my God. Like, again, it's rebellious because, again, I'm 9, I'm 8, you know, whatever. It's rebellious to be sitting there saying those lyrics. And at the same time, like, it's a breakdown. It's a slow part in the song. We're using clean guitars, and yet it might just be the most badass part of the song.
It's probably my favorite part of the song. I mean, everything you said about it being a tornado, an avalanche, a tsunami, the horses lined up, 100%. All of that. I feel all of that when I hear Kickstart. Probably more than any Motley Crue song. That just that pent up aggression. We're holding you back. We're holding you. It's like a football team coming out, you know? I mean, I don't know how every football team doesn't run out to Kickstart My Heart, because it's perfect for that. You know, hold it back, and then all of a sudden the gate opens and here they come. I love it. I love it. I love that breakdown though. You know, when we started this band, all we needed. I love the lyrics.
Yep.
I
love
didn't
the
realize.
Arrogance. Think about how arrogant that is. You know, I'd say we kicked some ass, you know, and it's like, and the point is, Motley can get away with that arrogance, because who's going to go toe to toe with Motley and tell him you're lying? Because no, you did. We have the proof, whether it's the musical catalog, whether it's the headlines, whether it's the chicks, you did it. And yeah, you can say you're still kicking ass. It's like, and that's what you love about Motley too, is the arrogance, we don't care because we're Motley Crue. And that song, it's again, the energy and the production is amazing. And it's one of those songs where you can tell me it's overplayed. I won't disagree with you, but I will say there's never a time where I am not hyped to hear it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the second one I'll say. I'm super glad it made a list. It fell off of mine. It was on there, and as the preparation goes, it had to come off my list for some other things that I couldn't leave off. So it just like Time for Change, it would have been a carnal sin for Kickstart to not make one of these lists, because even though it's not on mine, I don't think I could sit here with any conviction and say Kickstart My Heart is not one of Motley Crue's best songs. So
No.
A perfect choice.
No, absolutely. And I can't imagine there's a sport that hasn't had a montage to Kickstart My Heart. There's probably a golf one out there, like straight up. Like
somebody did it for chess. I don't know.
Again, I would have no doubt, because in that moment where someone's like, I won, like that's all you need is Tiger Woods going da 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 da, and then like that's not even, like you say, it's the starting gate. That's the starter's pistol. That's the like that whole until we get to the Tommy kicking in a da 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 ba ba da. Like, oh, that's the song. No, it's again, it didn't make my list. Just it's the victim of overplay. And I just went with, again, the songs that I put on when I want to listen to Motley. But Kickstart was such a solid, and it belongs on Dr. Feelgood. Like, if he'd written that during the Girls era, it wouldn't have worked. If he'd written it during the Swine era, it wouldn't have worked. It belongs exactly where it is, and it's perfect. So,
and we keep talking about the imagery and memories of videos and all that. What a video to Kickstart My Heart. Yep. I mean, what a video, right? Yep. It just ties in with everything, and everything you described. That video captured it visually.
Yes.
Right. That pent up aggression. Here it comes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Kate, what do you have at number 7?
Number 7, going into Too Fast for Love, Starry Eyes, has always been one of my favorite Motley Crue songs, period. Starry Eyes. I mean, I love it. I love it. It could have gone much, much, much higher on my list. I'll tell you this. I was in LA for the first time, actually. And the next time I go will be with the two of you, but I was in LA and finally did kind of the pilgrimage that, I've wanted to do since I was a kid. And I mean, did it all. I mean, saw
those were the best 3 days of getting texts on my phone.
Oh my God. Kate and I know we're like totally
we're living for it.
We got to take a detour, but like the conversations he and I had about getting your videos, and here you are at, again, the Motley apartment, like GNR, you're at the 90210, you're at Peach Pit, here's Michael Myers' house. Yep. And like, we are having our own private conversation. I'm like, Caton is living his best life. We wanted you to do an entire series of just like Caton Takes LA, because your videos, you were such joy and having the best time. And we were like, yeah, we need to go do this with him, because you getting to do that and see that. And like for Starry Eyes, because you are going back to that first album, it's like you can feel that when you're like on the strip. To me, the strip 100%. Is so like, I still feel that.
100%. And, like literally what I was going to say is the show that I saw at the Whiskey was Pretty Boy Floyd, and they played Too Fast for Love top to bottom, and then played, Leather Boys, obviously. So they played. So being in LA, being at the Whiskey, I had already gone to the Motley apartment. I had, but hearing some of my all-time favorites that you're right. It's hard to hear. It's hard to get Motley Crue to play Starry Eyes, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to get them to play Merry-Go-Round. So just hearing them live, I get it that it wasn't Motley Crue, but I do dig Pretty Boy Floyd, and like they did a good job. They did a really good job. And it was magical hearing those songs at the Whiskey, knowing like, man, when I get out of here, and this is exactly what I did. Like, wow, I've gotten all these pictures, and, you can't get in the Motley apartment because, lock gate and all this stuff. but the wall was really not that high. You know, it came up to like here on me. It was like a stone wall. And I was like, you know, I had all my pictures, I had just been hanging over the wall and all that. And I was like, you know what, when this thing's over, I'm going to the Rainbow to get me a pizza.
Yep.
And then I'm going and I'm hopping the wall. I'm hopping the damn wall. I'm in LA. And I did it, guys. And I went to I got a lawn chair and just sat by the Motley pool for like 30 minutes and just sat there. Nobody cared. And then I went up, I walked all around. You know, there's some debate on which apartment actually was theirs, but I narrowed it down to the two of them and got videos of both. But I jumped the gate, went over, walked all, and it was magical. I didn't leave there till probably 4 in the morning, you know, and just knowing that, like, I heard those songs. And for people that don't know, you know, I'm sure most people do, you know, that the Motley apartment is right up Clark Street. So you have Sunset and Clark, and it's a 15-second walk. It's a 20-second
it's a stone's
walk
throw
from the Whiskey a Go-Go. And so, you know, everybody knows the stories. They would play there and then invite everybody over to their place from the Whiskey, come on up and let's party. And so it was just magical to be standing there, hearing those songs, thinking, you know, when this is over, like, I'm going to walk up to the Motley house for the party up there, you know, like, you know, they weren't there, unfortunately, but, you know, I heard those songs at the Whiskey and then I went to the Motley house just like back in the day. And so to me, it was like ticking it off the list. I loved it.
You lived it.
It was awesome. It was so cool.
I'm here
Starry
for it.
Eyes, never been my favorite on Too Fast. Just me. But I mean, anything off that album is solid. Like, that's the thing. It's because it's a strong statement. But yeah, Starry Eyes has just never been my choice, and that's okay.
I get it.
Yeah. And I have a lot of Too Fast for Love coming up.
I have a feeling our stuff is about to get less album diverse as we hit the top, because we all have our favorites. But so I can tell you about my top 7. I have only one song older than 1991.
Wow.
So again, things are weird. I'll go into another bonus track on this one. And shocked it hasn't come up yet, but I'm thinking it might come up later. If it's someone's top 4, so let me know. We won't talk about it. Maybe it won't. Primal Scream.
Yeah.
It's the number 1 probably on my honorable mention.
Number
it's
16.
Insane. It was my number 16.
I cried when I had to take it off the list.
Primal Scream, like, this is going back to that first Motley concert I went to in 98. This is my most vivid memory, because the call and response, Primal Scream, scream, shout, and like my hand was doing this for like a month after that show. Just, this is so, again, this is where, when you want to have that argument, this is a dark video. Everyone says, oh, they went dark with Karabi. John Karabi could be singing Primal Scream. It is a dark video. It is a dark song. The band is in shadow. Time and time of being told trash is all I'm worth. Now that I'm much older, don't put that shit on me. This is just the ultimate FU song that isn't You by Wasp, but like, it really, it's just, this is, again, I'm 10 when this comes out. I'm growing up with it into my teen years, and we've all felt Primal Scream at some point in time, where every lyric of this hits you in the face. It may not have hit when I was 10 enjoying my Ninja Turtles and my Motley Crue, but it did get there, that I understood this song and felt it, because everyone does. Everyone feels the world at them at some point in time. And again, when you talk about where was the next Motley record going to go with Vince, this is where it was going to go. It's already there.
I was about to go there 100%. This was our foretaste for what Motley 94 could right?
And you're telling me this couldn't coexist with Nirvana? Again, going to my other point, though we don't want to belabor it.
So, I mean, yeah, what you said is spot on. Primal Scream is amazing. It's killer. We all know that. It was different. It was very different.
Yes.
For Motley Crue. right? It was different. And what's interesting is, we all said, and part of this was probably because it just wasn't Vince, not the change of 90, the sound of the self-titled, but we said we weren't ready for that. It's not what we wanted, etc. But we were all okay with that change with Primal Scream. Like you could tell Motley Crue was evolving. That was that was not shout, and I remember that vividly, thinking like, man, this is different. Like they feel like they've matured or grown or whatever. But I loved it just the same. Like I loved it just as much. And I don't know, man. I don't know what album we would have gotten had Vince not left. It wouldn't have been Generation Swine.
No,
we know that wouldn't have been the next progression.
No.
Something would have been. And man, I would love to. I hate we missed that. I would love to have heard. I'd love to hear 10 or 12 songs on a whole album that are Primal Scream-ish in that
idea. Carsen,
and I'm going to tell you my thought about Primal Scream is I remember, again, we just come off Feel Good, which launched like 5 hits off it for a rock band. And I get it, like rock was having such a moment at the end of that decade, but even so, for 5 hits, that's still pretty big. And you know how it is when you're waiting for whether it's new music or a new album, depending on how it's going to be released, that first song comes out and there's always an apprehension. And I remember hearing Primal Scream, and it's like you said, Caton, it was like, oh, this is different. But also right out of the gate, I remember the video premiering and it was like, yep, this is good. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to take me a few listens. Like Primal Scream out of the gate, despite the little bit, I mean, Motley can be dark, but sonically it was a little bit darker. I don't necessarily mean lyrically. And it was, but we've seen that stuff before, but there was a difference, but it's like the true definition of evolution, because evolution it's gradual changes. It's not supposed to be a 180. And that's why Primal Scream, like you said, the direction we think the evolution was happening, but I believe you would have kept us going. I think we were all on board. Primal Scream would have been a wonderful bridge, gateway to whatever was going to come next, had it ever happened, because it was familiar enough, but also there was enough change. It was a wonderful blend, hybrid of what Motley was and what they were going to become, I think, because we don't know if they had kept Vince.
So that's my love for Primal Scream. Let's go to Carsen, number 6.
Yeah, we talked about it. Smoking in the boys' room.
Okay. So, Caton, you're number 6.
My number 6, you said? Is that right?
Yes.
Number 6, Take Me to the Top. Take Me to the Top. I love it.
Yep.
Love it. There's I feel like I'm repeating myself. I just I love it. I love Vince's voice on Too Fast for Love. I love Vince's voice on Too Fast for Love. I love some of the simplicity of Too Fast for Love. I love how they sound almost like there's punkish vibes there. There's definitely like some punk type influence on Too Fast for Love, more so than other albums. It's such I feel like some of the musical compositions are so simple. And I don't mean that as in like there's not a skill set there, or it's bad playing, or I don't mean that. It's just, it felt, and maybe some of this was the production, right? It just felt so much more scaled back, and, it's the perfect first album, and it's very obvious that it's their first album, right? There's very obvious it's their first album, but I love everything about that because of it's just similar to like same with Faster Pussycat. The Faster Pussycat's debut is my favorite because of that rawness of that first album. People say, oh, the production on that sucks. Dude, I love it. It's what I love how Too Fast sounds, and so many songs, could be in my top list, but Take Me to the Top that one's always had a special
I would
place.
say Too Fast overall to me is skeletal in nature, that we haven't put all the flesh on it just yet, which I think really then, we don't get fleshier than Dr. Feelgood. But the thing is, for me, a debut album, especially from everything that we know of that time, that scene, this band, how could they not be skeletal, right? They're the ones like, hey, we're going to date chicks so we can eat. Like, hey, everybody come back to our apartment and cool. Yeah, maybe somebody will bring booze. Like, why would you expect more from a band that this is literally how they're living, is skeletal? It's, you know, rolling coins kind of stuff. But interesting, what I will say about Take Me to the Top, I think is one of the more produced songs on Too Fast, because especially when you start getting the layering of Vince's vocals,
see that. I can see that.
then I feel like you get a little bit more. There's a little bit more, I think, going on production wise, especially because you get Vince talking over himself or singing over himself in some of it. But it's still the, like you said, it's the rawness. It's also the, I don't want to say immaturity, but I'm going to use that word, and it's because it's four dudes bumbling around LA who are just like, you know, they'll flail and they'll fist and they'll with anybody. And it's, yeah, that's exactly what you want out of that debut album. That they're gonna make it and they're gonna put it out and you're gonna listen to it. We're gonna go do it.
You said immaturity, and it made me, I immediately went here in my head, and I love this. But Take Me to the Top is, if you go back to the US Festival '83, which is one of my favorite live performances, because it's hard to find Shout at the Devil era, and I know this wasn't on Shout at the Devil, but it's hard to find Shout at the Devil era live videos that are good quality. But the US Festival is one of them where they're wearing all this. But in Take Me to the Top there, and I'm sure they did it at all the shows, but immaturity made me think of it. That's the one where like Mick and Nikki and Vince with this mic stand, they're, you know, na 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 na, and they're all do the synchronized
choreography.
Yeah.
The choreography. Yeah, it's so funny, you know, to see them doing that was Take Me to the Top. I remember that they did that with. Yeah.
So when you're talking Take Me to the Top, the first thing that pops in my head is the riff. And it makes me think of all of Too Fast. Like, Mick Mars's guitar is produced in such a way that honestly it sounds like it's in a vacuum. And yet, like, it sounds like he's playing with razor blades is the best way I can put it. It is a metallic sound. And it's so unique to that album. And it's definitely to do with the production. But Mick, to me, is the star of Too Fast for Love, because that guitar cuts through everything. It is not backseat. It is not overproduced and sounding perfect. It is like this guy showed up, plugged in, and just went, here you go. Here's what I do. And like, that's rock and roll. So like what that said, when you said that to me, immediately I'm thinking in my head and I'm hearing that riff and I'm like, oh, like that to me just made me think in my head, Mick is the star. So on my number 6, this is my final bonus track. This was technically, I guess it's a bonus track for a studio album, but not in America.
That's because there are no more. That's because there are no more bonus tracks. You put them all.
No, I think I hit them
You
all.
hit them all.
This is going to be your shocker, another shocker for you, because I don't think either one of you is going to have a whole lot to say about this one. From New Tattoo, Japanese edition, American Zero. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know I stumped the crew here. It was a Japanese bonus track, but they actually have like the footage they released back in like 2000 after Randy Castillo passed away was of him drumming this song. And I think it's on the Crew Tattoo DVD. It's You're All I Need, like almost part 2 or even maybe part A before You're All I Need. It's the same basic concept, just presented a little differently. More great imagery from Nikki. And again, just a beautiful line, beautiful song. And Vince Neil singing, well, I'm not your hero. I'm the last American Zero. It's who I am. Because it's Vince singing it, it sounds right. It just hits. I just like it. And it, much like We Finally Made the News, there's the line of sometimes love's not meant to last. It's like when you're too young to survive the crash. Like, it's just a good inspired lyric. Why it got left off of New Tattoo or relegated to bonus track territory, I don't know. Caton, you mentioned, I'm guessing no one has anything from New Tattoo above this. Am I wrong? Okay. No. So we got to give New Tattoo. We got to give New Tattoo its moment here. because we aren't obviously we're not going to talk about it again. Caton, you'd sent us the song "New Tattoo" just the other day in a text. I actually can't stand that song. Like it does something about it. It's I hate to say it's maybe underproduced. I don't love the way any of it comes across for some reason, but I love Drag Strip Superstar. I love First Band on the Moon, which sounds like a Generation Swine reject. I love Fake. Fake is in my number 16. Like there's such good stuff on that, and yet American Zero strong enough to be in my top 6 as the song that got left off the album, along with a song called Time Bomb.
Do you know this song top of mind?
Oh
Carsen?
yeah.
Like
no.
I'll have yeah.
No, I'm gonna have to go listen.
I've heard it, but like I can't. I'm sitting here trying to call it, and I can't do it. So you absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh yeah, First Band on the Moon. You're right. Yeah, there's some good stuff on New Tattoo, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't know this one, kid. Like,
nope.
Yeah, you're going Japanese bonus tracks. I mean,
are you shocked by that?
I've got to go check this out.
I don't even know that you really like that song. You just wanted to stump us.
I just wanted to throw it in. No, again, it's actually I love it. It's such a cool tune, and like I said, it's to me, it's You're All I Need beefed up a little bit, but I dig it. And again, nod to Randy Castillo, who just the worst turn of luck for Randy, obviously, just horrible. And I mean, you join Motley Crue, and a year later you can't do it, and then a year later you pass. Just horrible. I mean, legendary drummer, obviously,
and a monster, legendary, and just a monster of a player too.
Oh God, and yet I will be objective and I'll be fair. I have said, and you all may agree or disagree, New Tattoo sounds less like a Motley Crue record than Motley Crue '94 to me. Tommy's drums are the backbone of that band more than Vince's vocals. New Tattoo, I remember when it came out, Nikki Sixx saying this is like Too Fast for Love. I think we can all agree it's not. But it really, again, for as great as Randy is, it's nothing to do with great, it's style. And Tommy's style is we've mentioned him in every song. You don't do that with every drummer. You know, and he's not Neil Peart. He's not this drummer that's amazing. He is just oozing style to the point where, again, this sounds less like Motley Crue to me than Motley Crue '94. So that's my diatribe.
It's the same. It's the same thing you hear, armies of people saying about Steven Adler, and it's true. I agree. Same with Steven Adler, right? People talk about his swing, right? You hear that all the time. His playing, his feel on Appetite, and then you get in. You get, Matt Sorum, is he a better drummer, than Steven Adler? I think that's a resounding yes. But, who do I prefer to be behind the, the kit for Guns N' Roses? I mean, easy. It would be Steven Adler, right? Because he had that feel. I think it's the same with Tommy. I mean, I think Tommy was a great drummer. But you're right. I mean, Motley '94 sounds nothing like Motley. But dadgummit, that sounds like Tommy Lee on that album. So,
and it sounds like Mick Mars. Like it's there. It sounds like that band, and yet, again, it's just my thoughts. So we're going into number 5 now. And Caton, what do you got for number 5?
Feel Good, Dr. Feelgood, the song.
Well, we said we'd talk about it later.
It's my number 4.
There you go.
Now, okay, but mine, I did TNT and Feel Good together.
Yeah, I agree. So for the listeners out there, we had a whole debate over this, about is that separate or are those the same? Same with, In the Beginning and Shout at the Devil. And so I think we piece them together. I agree, because, when you have that TNT intro and then the car crash and then it goes straight into Dr. Feelgood. I mean, it's kind of like a Kickstart My Heart type deal where the horses are pent up and then all of a sudden you just release it. And it's like, so without TNT, it doesn't have that same gut punch coming into it. But I mean, I don't even know what to say about Dr. Feelgood. I mean,
well, can I piggyback on what we were just saying about Tommy?
Go.
Okay. Because think about,
let's just go there because that's it.
Because what do you when you start Feel Good in your head, or you go to like sing it to yourself again, like we were talking about how you will sing along with Mick's solo in Home Sweet Home. When you sing the instrumental for Feel Good, you are singing Tommy's drums.
100%.
How many songs in the lexicon of popular music outside of drum fills in Tom Sawyer? How many drums that is, like you say, Feel Good to me. That's it. It's the Tom work. Straight up. That's it. Which is how freaking unique is that you, and they've always said, like, first thing, we're going to highlight Tommy's drums. But the fact that you made a melody out of tom drums, like you took those toms and you worked them, and just freaking brilliance.
Yeah, I keep going back, and more than I expected I would tonight. I keep going back, to imagery and stuff. I remember as a kid, I mean, I love that video, the way they came in to the tent, like the intro, and like the cameras coming up to the tent. They're all in the tent. I just remember the fire, and Vince is sitting on that car. But I love the build up to it, the dun 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 dun, and that the camera was just getting closer. It's like, what is it? Motley Crue's got to be in there, And so it was the best lead off single. It was so smart, whoever chose Dr. Feelgood. I mean, it was probably obvious. It's not like it was a hard choice, but it was just the perfect.
Well, in all fairness,
we're back, we're sober, and guess what? We're still gonna kick the shit out of you, right?
Can you imagine having an album where you are releasing Dr. Feelgood as your first single, and you've got Kickstart My Heart on deck? Like, think about that. Like, you're saying it's an obvious choice.
Think of the boldness, though, of when you think about the subject matter of Dr. Feelgood. That really was a bold. There was a bold choice, because Kickstart still would have absolutely blown the doors off the hinges. Feelgood did in its own right. And when you think, if you actually just put the two lyrically, like, what's much more palatable for an audience? Like, hey, Kickstart My Heart, adrenaline, da 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 da. And then Dr. Feelgood is like, what we're talking about, like street drugs? Yep. But and then you know what? A freaking army of children are going to love this. And we did.
I think it was the best choice for the lead off because of this. I think that Kickstart could have been slightly too heavy for some listeners. Like, I think it was, everybody's going to love Feel Good. And I think that there is a population that probably grew to love Kickstart, but initially, that's a heavy Crue song, man.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the smarter, play it safe choice to do that as the lead off, because it was the perfect bridge between what was before Feel Good, Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yeah.
It was the perfect, whereas Kickstart would have been a little more radical, I felt like. I don't know. Never thought about that before, but now that we're saying
I don't disagree with you from the musicality of it. Yeah, it could be a harder sell to, let's say, because if that's not, John and I've talked about this a lot, how when you look at the pop charts from the late 80s, that you had like Whitesnake or Motley Crue sitting next to Paula Abdul. And there is something different about a Feel Good versus a Kickstart trying to play on your like pop station. That Feel Good, as much as the subject matter, like I still maintain, like, hey, here's a song about drug dealing. But you're not really listening to lyrics, because have you heard the drums? That's it. That's all you need to have people hooked for that song. That's it.
Also, imagine you're in the studio making this album, and you've got the line, he's going to be your Frankenstein. And you say, you know what? Let's make them wait till the second chorus for that one. Like, just, it's moments like that like, I want to be a fly on the wall when they decide, you know what? Let's put it there, not here. It'll be cooler. Or whatever the logic is. Like, it's so true. I love that this one is a story song. This is Uncle Tom's Cabin. This is Hide Your Heart. This is a story song. Yeah. And
good point.
And underrated in that thought. No one ever thinks of it like that, even though it sets the scene. It's got characters. It's there. In addition to that, two versions of this video exist. There is the one that we've all seen. There is one without any of the Jimmy stuff. It's just Motley performing. It's like outtakes of the same video shoot kind of thing, just alternate takes of it. I happen to like, it's, again, we talk about the visual medium of this stuff, that when they're coming out of the solo, which again, let's talk about how great Mick Mars's solos are and how singable they are. That's another great example. When Vince jumps into the frame with the
shot.
like we
I
gotta
was gonna
talk about it because
mention
the
that.
visuals are important. Like when Vince
It's
jumps
so
into the
good.
shot, where like you're just like that. It's in your brain. It's an amazing thing. And again, we can't, to what you were saying about Shout of the Devil, we can't ignore the visuals because this is an era where the visuals go hand in hand. So no reason not to say maybe you liked a song more because you saw the video. Again, Feel Good made my list at number 15, but the driving drums, Bob Rock talked about when he gets in the studio with Motley, he builds at the drums and says, let's go from there. And he was 100% right. And you feel that on Dr. Feelgood. I'm not sure Tom Werman knew to do that.
Yeah.
Provided, I think it was Tom Werman who produced like Girls and such, right?
I think it was. I think it was Werman.
Yeah.
It's also a bold choice when you think you made me think of this when you said you'd love to be on the fly on the wall about the Frankenstein lyric. I mean, also what a bold choice. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think back. There's plenty of songs about drugs, but maybe one of the bolder lyrical content about in your face drugs. And it's like, that's a kind of a bold move when it's like, wait a minute, we're about to come out and introduce to the world that we're sober. And our first leadoff single is about, like Jess said, street drugs, Rat Tail Jimmy. It's like, hang on, that's you go back to the whole dichotomy thing. It's like, Motley Crue could be a walking contradiction in the best of the, the best sorts ever,
Yep.
But even we talked to you about Nicky reflecting in his writing what's going on. And that is legitimately what was going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's like there's a validity and a legitimacy to, writing a song like that.
All right, Carsen, you're number 6 or 5, whatever.
Yes.
So Feel Good was 15 for you, Hyde?
Yes.
And then was
4
it on your
for me? Yeah, it was 4 for me.
Right.
So yeah, you beat me to the punch. Coming in at number 5, like I said, like we said, top 25 or top 15, and this one you're gonna be like, why is that so high? The fact that it's on my list, I'm sure y'all are gonna question it. But again, I'm working from an emotional place when it comes to songs. Mine is Saints of Los Angeles. And the reason is, look, that song drives, that song rocks. And that song, I was working at a rock radio station. And it was, girl, we got new Motley Crue in. And when I played it for the first time before I went on the air, and I was like, yeah, we do. We got new Motley Crue. Because it was out of the gate fantastic. Is that Ashba? Sure. Again, I love me some Ashba. And that's the thing, that song, because of that time in my life where I'm working in active rock radio, and it's great to be like, wow, look at me, I'm on rock radio. A lot of the bands I don't care for. So like it's, oh, hey, cool. Motley Crue, you say? Let's go. And so that's why Saints holds such a place in my heart, because it was out of the box for the time when it came out. Something that I truly enjoyed listening to and enjoyed getting to play on the air, and enjoyed being able to talk about Motley Crue as an adult working in her chosen field, where she didn't always get to talk about the band she liked.
Yeah, that's cool, because you weren't having to talk about it from a nostalgic perspective. It's like it was new. It was like, hey, this is new Motley Crue. This isn't me trying to sneak it into rotation on you.
It earned its place on that playlist. It absolutely deserved to be sitting there next to every other song that I was playing. And that's why it's an emotional place for me to put it that high. But because when you talk about, I've talked about career highlights with people from a musical perspective, and that is one of them, because here's one of my favorite bands actually getting a fair shot at making its way into the playlist, people being hyped for it, that people still are like, there's new Motley coming, let's do it. And that it was a song that I was like, yeah, this is an easy sell for me to just get on there and be like, yep, that's new Motley Crue. You don't need me to say anything else, because it was great.
Yeah.
I love it. This song, when it came out, was like, yep, there's Motley. I've always said and this is obvious kind of in my list, Motley did not let me down in the studio from Dr. Feelgood to Saints. Everything in between was so solid. Like I said, obviously I'm not the biggest fan of girls. It's just, but as a streak, I'm never going to convince somebody who's 58 years old that some of Motley's best days were in 2005 or 8 or whatever. But the reality is they were great. Again, if these guys got in the studio and put stuff out, whether it was Dr. Feelgood, Primal Scream, Drift Away, Generation Swine, New Tattoo, like all of these things, like this band works hard in the studio. They believe in the product they're putting out, and we see a lot of bands who don't. We see a lot of bands who just put out an album because they wrote 2 songs and then had to make up 8 others. These guys take this stuff seriously, and it shows. The performances are there, and Saints is a great example. The song itself is awesome. Didn't make my list. Bubbling under my list was Face Down in the Dirt from this album. Oh, that is my favorite song. Down at the Whiskey, solid number 2. Caton, you said that to us the other day.
Yeah.
The nostalgic vibes of it are great. I just liked Face Down in the Dirt. Just, again, it's fast, it's fun, it's cool, and it's Motley. That album is still Motley Crue. May have been the album they should have put out in 97.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I mean,
we're back. We're the Motley Crue you expect us to be, while also being forward. Motley has never sounded dated, and that's impressive.
Yeah. It's funny what you just said. I was thinking last night, because I told you guys that, I of anything in their catalog, probably, and I don't know why, it's probably Saints of Los Angeles I've spent the least amount of time with. I'd listened to it, I liked it, but I didn't kind of go back to it so much. But I was listening to it last night when I was jogging, and I had the same thought you were saying, Hyde. It's like, man, this thing could have been, like, if this would have been in place of Generation Swine, maybe would have been received a little bit. Maybe that's what people were wanting a little bit, because it didn't sound dated or like they were trying to go back in time. It was a natural. I mean, they did a great job of it. We've all heard bands that you can tell they're trying to sound like they did 15 years ago.
Yes.
And that's not what this was, but it could have easily naturally fit in that 97 time period. I agree.
And like, I'll nod here because, just like Carsen said, I was on an active rock station when they put out The Dirt from the movie, the song, and it was so cool to be able to spin a new Motley song at that time that was hitting big. And I liked that song too. Didn't make my list, but again, solid tune. Even the Machine Gun Kelly rap, like it's dirty, so it worked. Like it's a solid other song. So like, again, Motley in the studio, they work hard, they bust it. It was much better than All Good Things, which had come before it, which just felt like, I've got a title, I got to write something around it, because we're saying, we're doing the All Good Things tour. This was like, no, this is a song where you've got some inspiration and you're feeling it. So just credit where it's due. So what are we on, number 5? So we got both of your number 5s. Correct? Okay.
Yep.
My number 5, I had to switch my shirt. This will be the last one from here on out. It's not that my choices only come from this album. There's variety, just not much. Number 5, the first single, Hooligan's Holiday. Again, let's go back, 1994. Watching this premiere video, Carsen, you may remember, we sat and watched this. This was on MTV. Bless their hearts, they tried, because MTV had known Motley was a commodity. Let's see what we can do here. And this just isn't what I want for Motley. I don't want Motley being a Clockwork Orange, which is a reference I don't understand at 13 years old. I don't understand it at 44. I've never seen it. But I don't need to know about Drop Dead Beauty stomping up a storm. I don't understand any of this. But then, when Motley's back together with Vince, I start realizing that song that I'd left in the past is sticking in my head every now and then. And it didn't take long to go to a Sam Goody find the cutout bin. Let's just be honest. Find the yellow copy of Motley Crue, not the red, because the yellow one is the one that ended in the cutout bin. The red one I don't think even ended up anywhere. But it was $3.99, and I bought it. I unwrapped it to hear Hooligan's Holiday because it had been in my head. And I went, huh. At 16 years old, this song is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love the guitar on it. The drums just attack you. That's the only way I can put it. That snare drum is an attack on your soul. John Corabi's vocals aren't Vince. And at 13, I didn't want to hear that. At 17, I did. And at 44, I really, really do.
Yeah, amen.
Like, oh my God, John is incredible. Still incredible to this day. Just this song in particular, I don't think there was a better choice for a first single. I also don't feel like they were writing singles. I don't feel like the hook on this is amazing from a Dr. Feelgood looks that kill standpoint, but I feel like it was here's what we got. And we're not really writing to that right now. We're writing something that feels good to us. Bob Rock's production is stellar. The gritty guitar in the middle when it's just those big chords over nothing. Again, I can't say enough. Hooligan's Holiday is just amazing. And again, I'll be the first one to say in 94, I certainly didn't say that. I'll be that, I'm that guy. I'll flat out tell you, I wasn't ready.
Most people weren't, I think, if they're honest. And again, that's probably why the album, did what it did and was in the cutout bin. I think most Motley fans, I really would love to know the stats, right? If there was a way to get in people's heads, I would love to know, because we're not alone in loving this album now. There's a lot of people that do. I'd love to know the portion of those people that said, man, I didn't really dig it when it came out, and whether that's because they were too young, they were a kid, whatever. I got to believe that that's probably the common story with this album.
Well, it was like Vince is back, so I could now forgive.
Yeah. Could be something to that. Could be something to that
I took personally, and I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
And again, then when you see exactly what I'm talking about, where music went, we were abandoned by Motley Crue in our, again, not in reality, but in our brains. So then, okay, well, the mommy and daddy are back together. I guess I can check this out. And
yeah,
boy, I missed 3.5 years of really good stuff that I wasn't ready for 3.5 years earlier anyway.
I think you talk about a lead. I mean, I love Hooligan's Holiday. I love this album. I'll tell you something that I think could have been I don't think it would have changed the trajectory of what this album did, but I think it would have been a better lead-off single. I agree they weren't writing singles, but I do think it wouldn't have been such a shock to people's system. This song I'm about to say is a little more Primal Screamish, I feel like. So people had already kind of flirted with Primal Scream was different. But I think Uncle Jack would have been a great lead-off single. It's one of my favorites from the album. It's in my honorable mentions.
In mine too.
I left it off, and it was hard to leave off. It's easily one of my favorites from the album. And I just think that, I love the lyric, "Are you ready for suicide?" The intro with Tommy's drum. I think it's less different and unique and musical change than I feel like Hooligans was.
Uncle Jack has a good hook. I think it's the lyrical content that kills it. Like,
yeah,
I think that's where you're getting.
I think that's what. That's why.
I don't think you can throw that out as your first.
That's
single,
true.
But
that's true.
But again, musically, I'm 100% with you. Uncle Jack, it's got a good hook. Broken Hearts, Broken Dreams. Like, again, it's my other number 16.
I'll tell you this, and this is God's honest truth. To this day, when if I'm testing out, speakers or get a new stereo, or I'm setting something up, or I get a car and I want to check it out, to this day, always Motley 94 is what I put on to test out the bass. And, because I'm not listening to rap or something like that. So, bass is, to me, when I think of rock music and bass, I think of Motley 94. And I always play Uncle Jack first. And not because it's the most the most, attacking drums. Like you said, Hooligans, that probably is. But I love, I don't know why. That to this day, I mean, I did it a couple years ago. I got some Sonos speakers, and the very first thing I played when I got it set up was Uncle Jack. So nice. I've always done that. Yeah.
Carsen, Hooligans
I'm going to say,
Holiday?
though, I'm going to defend Hooligans Holiday as the leadoff and the introduction to this new crew. The thing is that I think we can probably all agree that the more you listen to Hooligans Holiday, it does, like you said, it sticks in your head. That there is the chorus is a hook. I think it was defeated out of the gate because, like you said, the aesthetic of the video, because that's where we all went to get our new music, was MTV. And look, we knew it was a new guy, but even just what you put on the screen in front of me, it's not Motley Crue. And so maybe I watched the video once. That if I had lived with Hooligans Holiday, perhaps maybe if the video was more palatable to my Dr. Feelgood loving heart, then maybe I would have had the time for the hook, for the chorus to have built up in my head. And like you said, gone to the record store, not 3 years later, but maybe 3 days later, and been like, nah, you know what? That's pretty solid. I think so many of us tuned in and we went, yeah, no. Mm-mm. And I think that was, I think the aesthetic was the disservice to that band. But I get why they did it too. It's you were making a statement. We're different. Musically we're different, but also, yes, this is a different guy. And you've got these dudes who maybe were trying to change an image that perhaps we had associated with the blonde man that's on your shirt, Caton. And I think it was just the aesthetic took the wrong direction. And that's why we weren't willing to give it the chance out of the gate, despite the fact that I do think that chorus is a hook. I do.
Well, that's the thing. I think we tuned in to hate it. There were these two guys I knew who once they went to a Skid Row concert, and they were in the stands cheering "I Remember Sebastian" at poor Johnny Solinger. I don't know who those two guys are, and I don't think they're on this phone call now, because those guys are crazy. Because like I know I love the Johnny Solinger era, so it couldn't have been me. But those two guys, those are two guys who definitely did not tune into MTV that day going, I've got an open mind to this. I can't wait to see where they're going. These are two people who are going, nope, whatever you put in front of me, I don't want it. This isn't the product I want. I'm going to tune in probably to hate it. Let's be honest.
I think it was just, I really have never thought about this that much until you just said it, or 10 minutes ago, Hyde. I've always thought of the reason we weren't ready for it, and most of the listening audience wasn't ready for it, was because it was so different. And, wow, we're not ready for this. And, and it is different and it is unique. And that's all the reasons we love it now. But I think it's what you said 10 minutes ago, dude. We took it personal. Motley Crue abandoned us.
Yes.
Right. So the 3 remaining members of Motley Crue, they cheated on us by kicking Vince out. We didn't have a say in that. We still wanted Vince. What are you doing? You can't do this. So we were mad I was mad at Motley Crue. I was mad at Nikki Sixx. And so they could have, maybe musically we weren't ready for it, but had they put out something that was more palatable to our Dr. Feelgood loving hearts, as you said, I still wouldn't have been ready for it. Because had they put out something that was more John Corabi, the Screamish, my point being like straight ahead rock, Motley Crue, the Scream was, that was John Corabi's old band. Had they done something that was just more straight ahead, I still don't think we would have been ready for it, because we would have still taken it personal that, hey, Motley Crue has left us. Like, you left us high and dry, guys. You just took off right when I needed you most, right when I was 16, 17, whatever. You can't do that. And so that's what I think. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, when Vince came back, I could forgive, and then I could give it a chance, because that's when I gave it a chance. And I think you're spot on.
The thing is, too, look back. Vince comes out with "You're invited, but your friend can't come," seemingly in my brain like the next week, and it wasn't, but it was close, and it was okay. Yeah, like that sounds like Motley. Looking back, it sounds nothing like Motley, but at the time, it's a fun party song by the guy who sings fun party songs. So yes, I want to hear that. And then fast forward, I mean, I don't really listen to "You're Invited, but your friend can't come" all that much anymore, and it's nothing to do with Vince or anything like that. It's just it didn't hold, but it was what we thought we wanted. Whereas Motley gave us what we actually needed. It's like, I hate to say, it's that hero you need, not the one you want. Vince gave us what we wanted, and Exposed didn't exactly go multi-platinum.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Continuing
Oh, well,
on.
you ruined my number one. No.
Oh, darn. No,
I'm kidding. You're invited, but your friend can't come. No.
Hey,
I like that. I like that track, guys.
I am representing.
No, I do too. But
I think Exposed has some good stuff on it. But no, what you say is valid. I can't see it. It's not in focus.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Carved in Stone.
Stone on cassette.
Oh, yeah. Look at you.
Nice.
I actually Break It in the Gun, probably my favorite Vince Neil solo song.
Nice.
But anyway, we just went.
Am I up?
Number 4.
Number 4. All right. So I think this may be my first controversial pick.
Ooh.
And the only reason I say that is because
you haven't heard it yet.
You actually made reference to this when we were talking the other night as a joke, Hyde. And it kind of, I was like, and I kept my mouth shut. This was of anything in my top 5, this was non-negotiable for me. That's how strongly I feel about this song. Okay. Could have easily been higher. Angela.
Oh, I like Angela. Oh, I have nothing negative. I just didn't think it was top, but I like it.
I think it is one of the best Motley Crue songs of all time. And I've thought it since the day I got Decade of Decadence. From the day I got it, I just remember thinking, holy smokes, how was this not on Dr. Feelgood? Like, to me, it's just, I don't know, man. I love everything about this song. I love the verse. I love the chorus. I love the guitar solo. I love the lyrics. I don't know. I love it. And it was, I thought when I started this list, I thought for sure it would be top 3. But it was close.
I'll tell you,
I know.
In my like, I put all the bonus tracks as their own thing to chart by when I was arranging all this. Angela ranked really high. I just picked on it because it was a random like bonus track song. No, I'm with you. I like Angela a lot. I like Teaser, the Tommy Bolin cover.
Oh, yeah.
Decade, those bonus tracks on Decade. Honestly, I feel like Home Sweet Home with the piano is the weakest of them all. Like, I actually think they're all really good. I don't love the remixed Live Wire and what is it? Come On and Dance. Is that the other one on there? I don't love the remixes on those. But no, I like Angela. So I picked it at random, but I like seeing that it's that high. Okay. That's a good conversation starter.
Yep.
Yeah. And I thought, honestly, like what you said about it, like could have been I think it could have replaced. There are some filler tracks on Feel Good. There are some things that I think it would have easily slid in.
Angela could have been better than Sticky Sweet. I'll say.
I mean, look, that's the thing, is that for as great as Feel Good is, there are a few songs that you go totally not necessary, and I think Angela would have been a more
it could have fit the album
choice.
Yeah,
could have fit.
Yeah, it would have been a hardier choice.
Yeah.
I do. Yep. I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Quick little nugget. I'm envisioning when you say it's got a couple False Away tracks or however you worded it. So Sticky Sweet comes to mind.
Yep.
But I bet one you're thinking of is one I would argue with you on and say that's an amazing song. She goes down. Like,
no, I was actually thinking Rattlesnake Shake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I was going to.
No, She Goes Down.
It's always those 3 that people are like, oh, those are the Toss Away tracks. I always loved She Goes. I always thought that was so catchy. The music of that tune.
Like Sticky Sweet, the good thing about it is all the backup vocals are on it. Like Steven Tyler's on there and all. And other than that, the song is not good. But that's okay. All right, you're number 4?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was TNT and Feel Good.
Oh, okay. We already been there.
Yep.
All right.
We
So
have
my
been
number
there.
four. My number four comes from this album right here. The shirt I'm wearing. Since we're doing ballads, I'm gonna do Misunderstood.
Yeah.
Um,
I
again,
knew that was going to be high for you. I
oh,
did.
Yep.
so again, the guitar, the intro guitar, so good. Tommy with the big ass bass drum, because we all know the bass drum that is like, what is that, a 36-inch bass? Like
Yeah.
that sound when that kicks in, the boom, life, boom. Like, yes, okay. Lyrically, love it. The orchestra on it. I like then at the end that the last verse is just hard and driving. When my band was together, my guitarist had written a song, complete front to back, kind of a ballady song. And I took it and I noticed his third verse had a bit of a different feel. And I go, no, we should misunderstood this. Like, no, we need it, that we get crank it up and make it loud. Like that we change it. He loved it and we did it. We played it that way. But like that's exactly like I'm ripping off Misunderstood. Like I know what I'm doing, and that's literally how I phrased it. The line that has stuck with me for so long, because as we get older, I see people who fall into this, and it's the line, living just to die. There are people going through life because they haven't died. They could be 20, they could be 100. They're not doing anything. They have no joy, they have no sadness. It's just they just exist.
They're
And
living
that's a
because it's a
line.
habit.
Yeah, and it's a line and that's how I interpret that line, again, without even the context of the song. And it's just that line that hit me one day, like, oh my God, I need to make sure I'm enjoying and living and existing in my life, not just letting it happen. And it's just that line hits me. So Misunderstood, again, top-notch vocal performance, obviously, but the band all sounds good on it. And then how it comes back down. Daddy's coming home tonight, so don't you cry. Like it's this roller coaster, and it's long. I think it's like 6.5, 7 minutes. So again, Misunderstood, this version of the band. I got nothing else. That's my Misunderstood story.
Now you gave us a TED Talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
honorable mention. You did give us a TED Talk. That's an honorable mention for me. For me, it was between, Drift Away and Misunderstood on my list. Drift Away was, I'll be honest, was an easier choice for me just because of how I feel about that song. But everything you said, I agree. I mean, I could have put so much more in my top 15 from Motley 94. Again, it's a hard process because something's got to come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we've done number 4 now. I will tell you, preview. My top 3 are from 3 different albums. So
Right.
It's not all Motley Crue 94, which isn't even technically my favorite album. I always say Swine is, but I may have to rethink. We'll see.
Do you say Swine is your favorite?
Yep.
Ah, wow. I never knew. I mean, I knew it was precious to you. For
I
sure.
knew you loved Swine, but I would have thought 94 was your favorite.
Swine is the first Motley album. Again, what we said the other night, no music is as important as the music that came out when music meant everything to you.
Yeah.
Motley Crue, I'd waited. I'm too young to buy Dr. Feelgood on the day of release. I'm too young to buy Decade, and I didn't want to buy Motley 94. That is my first Motley Crue album for me. So I take that home. Vince is back, and I spin it. And let me tell you, there's flaws all over it, but it's mine. It's my Motley album for me. So that's it. It's illogical and silly. It's an album that contains Brandon, but it's that good. But anyway, we'll go into the top 3 now. Carsen, let's go to you.
Number 3 comes from Too Fast for Love, and we've been talking about story songs. On with the show.
Oh, so good.
On with the show is, I'm going to give it to Vince on this one. That Vince, with the higher, thinner vocals, actually lends itself so well to the story of this song, which is obviously a sad, desperate, depressing story, but also the almost conversely to what you're talking about with Misunderstood. You got to go on with the show.
Mhm.
you have to push through, you'll have to pull through. Let's put it that way. She knows. And when you look at it's just, that's it. The only way out is through. And On With the Show, melodically, like the hook for me, I can't, like, I'm not going to sing it for you now, but it's, trust me when I tell you, it's right in my head. And it's, even if you don't listen to the lyrics, because I don't know how much you know, Kate, and you might though, but like, I'm not the biggest lyric person. That I love a melody, and a lot of times I don't actually know the right lyrics to songs. But like with On With the Show, that's straight up the whole chorus. I mean, really, it can be, he garbles some of the lyrics, and you can sing along to it real easy. But it's such a great hook, and we all, again, Too Fast for Love, hands down, my favorite album. And On With the Show is absolutely my second favorite song from that album. I cannot hear it enough. I cannot get enough of it. And it is that, to me, it's a story. When I do listen to the lyrics, that's a world I don't know. Knock on wood, I will never know that what is happening in that story. But I can see where Motley, where they would have been witnesses to something like that going on at that time. And I just, I love that song so much.
Caton, you're number
Yeah.
3.
Well, just real quick on that.
Oh,
I mean,
that's true. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, everything you said. I love everything about that song.
Oh yeah.
Everything about that song. I mean, the whole, is it Susie? Is Susie the name in the,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
it's Susie,
Ricky
and then,
yeah.
but like towards the end when it's like, you must go on with the show, with
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Like,
of the
and she
exact lyric,
knows.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
with the wink of an eye, yeah, broken down with his broken dreams, with a wink of an eye, said Susie, listen to me. You must go on with the show. That is that knocks me down every time I hear it.
And it's 2-year-old wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of everything that, when I go back to the Pretty Boy Floyd deal, when they played all this stuff live, and again, I get it. It's not like it was Crue playing it, but it was still hearing these songs live, right?
Yes.
And they played it very much to the album, true to the album. But when they sang On With the Show, I mean, it was like total chill bump moment. Total.
It's so funny you say that though, about like, okay, yeah, it's not Motley playing it, but it's one thing. Like if somebody told me like, hey, do you want to go see a Motley tribute band tonight? No, I sure don't. Because they're just going to play, the hits, Decade of Decadence. But if you told me, hey, there's some, and at this point, I was Pretty Boy Floyd, that's a different story. But even that, like, there's a tribute band that's just going to do, like, the album, like Too Fast for Love, top to bottom. I might pay for that because that's songs that I want to hear. So again, getting to hear Pretty Boy Floyd doing it, I think that, and at the Whiskey, that's amazing. That's
and they also had for that night. I blanked out on his name. He's the one that played guitars on Mick Mars' solo album. He's from like Birmingham, real tall, skinny guy.
Oh yeah, I don't know who it is, but I remember them talking.
But he does a ton of production type stuff. Like he is like a musician, very well respected. But anyway, he was on guitar. Jacob Bunton, I think's his name.
Oh yes, yep.
But he was on guitar for Pretty Boy Floyd that night. One show. And
so cool.
He's an amazing guitarist, so he could play all the licks. It was cool. All right. Am I number 3 or are you?
You are.
Okay. Number 3, Shout at the Devil. Shout at the Devil. So look, we've already really talked about Shout at the Devil, but I mean that's passionate. I'm passionate.
But within the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, within the beginning.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
it was my number 2 was ITV/Shout.
Okay. So
is In the Beginning better than Shout?
Yes.
Oh.
Shout would not be as high without In the Beginning.
Oh no, heck no, it wouldn't be as high. I mean, and then you think about In the Beginning. I mean, there's so much. It's just like the fact that I love old 80s horror movies, still, because I remember, how terrifying Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Michael Myers was when I was a kid. When you watch it now, I watch it with my daughters now, and it's like, they're laughing at some of it. And I'm like, whoa, this is terrifying. What are you talking about? But it's so like in your, and it's, oh man, where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? Oh, in the beginning, it stinking scared me as a kid.
Oh, the sounds.
And I loved it. I loved it. It scared me. I knew I wasn't supposed to be listening to it.
Yes.
I knew my mom was going to take it. I knew, same with God Bless the Children of the Beast, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was so crazy that they put that album title or that song title and then just, the acoustic guitar. And then when they come in with that I was like, whoa, dude, this is not okay, man. This is serious. But like in the beginning, you take that away from Shout and it's probably a different rating.
And I remember listening to it with my Walkman, which meant I had the headphones or the like earphones, whatever we called them at the time. And like you're being surrounded by that voice. And it's such an insulating experience because it is scary. And it's only happening literally in your head because they put that in your head when you're listening to it here. And it's terrifying, even though Shout at the Devil is like, you're like, oh wait, no, this isn't meant to be. But man, the way it's the same thing, like it's that it's a contained scare, which is like why we love horror movies, is that you do get the adrenaline rush, you get that fear, but you also know you're not actually going to get hurt. But it mimics what the the heartbeat and the fear that you might feel, and that's what In the Beginning does, and it's the gravitas of it, and like, is there an altar somewhere that I can't see? It puts, even if it's an image I can't conjure, but it puts more than just a sonic experience in my head.
100%. I can remember same. I mean, I can remember listening to that, like, on a Walkman. And it's like, I mean, I can remember like being outside and it's like, I'm like looking around, like, man, is stuff going to start crawling up from the sewers and stuff? Like, this is not okay. Like, I mean, crazy that In the Beginning. I'm actually glad you brought that up because we've kind of talked about Shout. So it's good we're giving In the Beginning some love. I mean, y'all know who that is. You know whose voice that is, right?
Isn't that Tom Werman?
Yeah. Yep.
But now, many lifetimes later, you're not afraid of it, right?
Yep. No,
cool.
I don't know.
It's still cool when it comes on at the gym.
It's still a little spooky. I mean,
I was telling Carsen earlier this week, when I got my Mustang with the CD changer back in like 2003, I had 2 mixed CDs that I made for myself. Disc 1 began with In the Beginning. Disc 2 began with TNT. But In the Beginning did not lead into Shout at the Devil. In the Beginning led into 1 a.m. by Beautiful Creatures. And it was weird because like that. And Shout at the Devil, ring, and the music goes up, and then it was ba 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 ba. Yeah. Like so now like those songs are actually connected in my head too.
Oh, that's cool.
But what again? Going back to Shout at the Devil being their major album, their major label really debut, like funded by a major label album. You see the difference right there in the production. Like you couldn't have put In the Beginning on Too Fast for Love. They couldn't have made that. They couldn't have added everything that they did. In the Beginning makes Shout at the Devil that much stronger. And I believe like live, they put In the Beginning now. The stage goes dark and they do In the Beginning. And it's like, yes, this is the way it always should have been. You should have never played this song without it, even though they play the Shout 97 version. So no, I love it. I think it's In the Beginning.
They should start every song with In the Beginning. Come on now.
In the beginning, into Angela.
He goes down.
She goes down would be that much cooler.
Oh man, yeah. Home Sweet Home hits different when In the Beginning introduces it, doesn't it?
It does. It's a whole different thing.
It made Brandon better. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. All right. So number 3, Carsen, you already did yours, correct or no? Yeah, because yours already came up.
Mine was on the show.
My number 3 in my top 3, I have 2 lead-off tracks, and I was just thinking about that because obviously, in the beginning is the lead-off. This one is one of them, and it is from Generation Swine. It is "Find Myself," the song that Caton didn't even know was the lead-off single or lead-off song, I should say. Nikki Sixx sings the verses. What a misstep in the world of, and I'm telling you how much I love the song, but what a misstep in the world of Motley Crue that the first voice I hear is not Vince Neil on the Vince Neil reunion album. What are you doing? Is this ego? Is this who knows? But I dig it. The music is crunchy. You get the destroy and then da 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 da, blah, and it's just it gets your attention. And that is cool. The chorus of this one is the one that, again, as a 16-year-old kid, just hits. There's too many MFers for me to say here, but they're there. But ain't no motherfucker tougher. When Vince Neil is singing that in 1997, I'm like, yes, you are correct, Vince Neil. Ain't no motherfucker tougher. And again, it's a song that I come back to a lot and still listen to all the time. I like Nikki's stupid spoken vocal on it. I like the fact that the end of the song just sounds like a mishmash of noises. Because this is the last time I'll talk about Generation Swine, spoiler alert. Like Mick Mars has said, he hates the guy who produced it, Scott Humphrey, because pretty much he was like, can you make your guitar not sound like a guitar? And for Mick Mars, who comes from a much older school, boy, that's got to be frustrating as hell. At the same time, the sounds on that album are really cool and show off just how talented Mick Mars is. So, like, being challenged like that, I'm sure sucks. And at the same time, boy, it really widened your repertoire in a way that I'm sure he'd never want to revisit again. But it's just, again, that's why I'll always defend Swine. It's got some really cool moments. It's not your mama's Motley.
So great song. Like great song. I love it. I have never really thought about what you said about the first thing you hear is Nikki for the comeback album, except great point. But I'll tell you, here's a counter to that. Here's a devil's advocate to that. Okay. I remember the video. I remember here's a counter to that. Isn't the first lyric that Vince comes in with, I'm a sick mother effer?
Sure is.
So
why it works.
So when Vince comes in, like, I actually liked the buildup of it not being Vince straight away. Because to me, it was kind of like a kickstart, hold the horses back moment. And it was kind of like, get ready, he's back. And then when he comes in with that punch to the face of I'm a sick mother, like, it was so strong. Like, I don't know, man. I kind of like the way there was a little build up there. And then it was like, you know what? Over to you, Vince.
Oh, I like it. Again, because obviously I love the song. It's my number 3 Motley song. And live, the curtains were up and they start the song. And you've got they're backlit. So you see the gigantic shadows, kind of like at the beginning of the Shout 97 performance on the American Music Awards. And they start singing, and Nikki's singing it. And then curtain drops, I'm a sick motherfucker. Like, just like what you're saying, it was hold the horses back. And it led not only the Swine listening parties, but the Generation Swine tour. Remember when these bands were so proud of their newest albums that, like, we're going to lead you with a new song, like Def Leppard did with Take What You Want.
Yeah. So, you know that Carsen and I saw that tour, right?
I'm aware.
So we saw that. So I remember exactly what you're talking about, that they opened with that. I remember that you didn't see the band or Vince until Vince came in with I'm a sick, so it was, the way they intended it. And let me say this, the way they presented that to the world live was how it worked, because Nikki was in the background, the curtains were still up. And then it's like, let us reintroduce Vince to you. Here he is. Drop the curtain. This is the main moment. So yeah, it was, I want to go back and watch some of those videos from that tour now that we're talking about it. Cause it was a cool intro. It was a cool show opener for sure.
It definitely was. And I do want to say, like, the one song that really I struggled to take off of this list from this album was Afraid. Afraid is a really good song. Not a solid first single, in my opinion, but it's a really good song. And it was one of those that just kept falling farther and farther the more I went. So again, credit to Motley, because that was a hard song for me to really negotiate taking off this list. But anyway, number 2, let's go to Caton.
All right, number 2. I thought this would have been my number 1 when you guys first reached out to me on this.
Wow.
Like I started
You
thinking
learned about yourself doing this.
Yeah, and I
love
thought
that.
this probably, I was like, well, I know what my number 1 is. But it turned out to be my number 2. So easiest number 2 I've ever chosen. And maybe this will surprise you guys a little bit. 10 Seconds to Love. 10 Seconds to Love.
Great song.
You're
right. It is shocking. Seems very high. I like it.
It has always been my favorite song on Shout at the Devil.
I'm not sure I would have picked that as the song you'd rank that high from Shout.
I don't know that I've ever told you that that's my favorite song on Shout. I think it's a deep cut, and to me, it's a deep cut, and
it is.
But I mean that intro, that dun 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 dun, and then Vince coming in, his vote, I love it. Always loved 10 Seconds to Love, and thought it would be number 1. I really did.
Here's what I can tell you.
Think about that. I mean, I thought that would be the number 1 Motley Crue song of all time for me. That's crazy because
I'm so excited to find out what your number 1 is.
It's yeah.
I can tell you, if you had asked me a few weeks ago what my favorite Motley Crue song was, I don't think it's the one I chose. Like when I really put them side by side, all of a sudden it was like, oh, we have like my choice makes sense, obviously, because I do love the song. I just don't know that it would have been. I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't gone side by side. I'll tell you something about 10 Seconds to Love. To me, in a good way, it sounds like a Too Fast for Love leftover.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm not shocked you have it so high, because of all the songs on Shout, it is the one that sounds closest sonically to Too Fast, in my opinion.
100%. 100% everything you just said. I've never thought about. That's why it's my favorite on the album. And so maybe that also calls into question what I've been arguing with myself on is, well, wait a minute. Is Too Fast your favorite Motley Crue album of all time?
Yeah.
Because it absolutely could have been a leftover. I mean,
I don't know that it was. It just sounds the closest to it.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if that's why it got thrown down a little bit, on the track list, was because, okay, it sounds like what we've done, but it's like Too Fast plus having a bit more budget.
And I mean, these lyrics. Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Touch my gun, but don't pull my trigger. Let's make history in the elevator. I mean, come on, Vince.
Love it in the elevator before Steven Tyler ever thought of it.
There you go.
Jessica, any thoughts on 10 Seconds?
No, but I don't think I'd ever equated it to Too Fast for Love before. And now that you say it, I go, there is, again, the raw and the melodic, which is why I think I'm so into Too Fast that 10 Seconds to Love has that. And
it's a great observation you had, Hyde.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so funny though, but I also do wonder if that's why it's where it is in the sequencing. Because when you come out with when you leave Too Fast and then your next thing that you throw at your fans is in the beginning. Like you could not have put 10 Seconds to Love anywhere near that and Shout. You couldn't have. It had to be buried in the record. You're so right.
Again, I'm making stuff up, but it's
no. I think there is an art to sequencing a record, and that very well could have played into it. Like, because again, when you've got Helter Skelter in there, yes, okay, that's going to fit the sonic aesthetic. But yeah, 10 Seconds to Love, while it deserves its place on that record, I can see why it's placed where it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jessica, you're number 2, or Carsen's?
In the beginning.
On
we
its
talked
own?
about it at length.
On its own. I like that.
Yes.
Mine
was Shout.
Also, but
no,
you already had Shout. I thought you had Shout 97 lower.
I did. I had
Two
Shout
different
97.
songs.
And then I put In the Beginning with Shout, because my Shout 97 was more about my memory with your fraternity.
Okay.
But
Wow.
also, but when I hear Shout 97, I always think of that imagery. And so that's why it makes the list from the emotional standpoint.
All right. Now, my number 2, I warned you back at number 14 that I had one more from Too Fast coming, and it's number 2. And Caton made reference to it earlier in referencing Tonight I Need a Lover. It's Merry-Go-Round. I love Merry-Go-Round.
No notes. No
That,
notes.
like, it's creepy is the best way I can put it. It's haunting. Like, I imagine it with in the beginnings production or something. Like, it's just something about it. Like the song, it's like watching not quite a horror movie, but a psychological thriller. It sticks with you because it's. I mean, it sounds like a merry-go-round. That's the music of it. It sounds like it, but it's the darkest merry-go-round you've ever been near.
Yeah.
And the merry-go-round around, merry-go-round around. Yeah, like there's something about it, whether it's just all the repetitiveness, but I don't know that there's another song in the Motley catalog, or honestly, another song I can think of that is so like it stirs something in you for no good reason. All it is, you know, he's got to get away to the merry-go-round. Like there's not a lot going on, and yet in that whatever was put together, the platter of it, it's just disturbing. Is the best way I could put it.
You feel like there's a clown in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's sinister.
Yeah.
It is a song that makes you look over your shoulder.
Yeah, I love it. I adore that song. I've never put my finger on the pulse of recognizing that, like, wow, this song's kind of chilling. This song's kind of creepy. I've never, but it is. And like, I totally see that. I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, when you said sinister, I think sinister is a great word, because also you're getting like when I say looking over her shoulder, like, you know, am I going down now? And then with her, like, is he coming home? You know, it's like you're getting a juxtaposition. Again, a story song, and yet minimal ass lyrics.
Yes.
Right? Like you're not getting what did I say about Too Fast? It's skeletal. And I was talking more musically, but I'm gonna say lyrically, specifically Merry-Go-Round. How much did you just make up in your own head that they gave you very few lyrics to do? And you're right, but it is a sinister song because of what it forces you to create.
Has Nikki talked about? Do we know what that song's
I've never looked
about?
into it. I
never have either.
The problem is, do I want to know?
Yeah.
Or do I want to just, because again, it's just like that one to me. It was funny when you brought it up for when you were talking about Tonight, because you're like, oh, it's so repetitive. And I know you weren't putting it down in any way, but I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm holding on to that because I think you had that somewhere in your bottom 5. And I'm holding on going, we're going to talk about that song at the top.
Yeah.
Well, like Merry-Go-Round, like again, I'm such a Too Fast fan. Like Merry-Go-Round easily could have been in my top 15, but I had to whittle out Too Fast at some point.
Oh, same.
Yep.
I mean, it's easily on my honorable mention.
Yeah,
I feel like
I love the repetitiveness of it.
yes,
I love the fact that, like, I mean, he says, you know, he does the merry-go-round, it seems like 1,000 times, and like when he's done on the last one, I'm like, bro, man, we needed a couple more.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm still
more.
in there. I'm still in this with you, Vince. Come on.
This ride's not over.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, like I think with Too Fast, it's funny because you're talking about making this list. Like again, because I love Generation Swine, and yet it's probably massively underrepresented on my list. There's a context that when you take these songs out of the order and put them on their own, one against each other, all of a sudden, I don't want to say there's cracks, but they don't hold up quite as well. Whereas going from, let's say for me, it's like going from Flush to Generation Swine beefs up Flush as an example. Like, and I feel like when you're doing this, like you said, you had to weed out the Too Fast. It probably wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be, because when you start just going song for song, all of a sudden missing the context of playing it as a complete thought.
Yeah, like I mean, it was easy. Like, Piece of Your Action, Too Fast for Love, the song. I was like, those are actually easy to kind of scooch. But in the grand work that is the album, they fit.
All right, now we're going on to number 1. We have made it this far. We're probably going to split this up into 2, but we'll see. Number 1, I'm going to say Ladies First. And
And this is
I don't
great.
want to spoil. I have an idea. I think I know what it's
I
going to
bet
be, but
you know what it is.
I'm going to say it's number one
I see what you did there.
for a reason.
Well, you guys were saying that like you thought you had an idea of what your favorite Motley song or your number one was going to be ranked, and then it changed. And I will tell you, this song has not changed for me in decades. Public Enemy number one is my favorite Motley Crue song ever. The attitude, but also the sing-along ability of Public Enemy number one. It's almost bouncy and bright and sunny, and yet think about what we're talking about here. Like, we're about committing crimes. But okay, and it just, the juxtaposition, because doesn't that work with Motley? That you have this band of, at the time, boys, honestly, they're just barely men, that girls are lusting after, but they're also kind of horrible people. And it's that, to me, in that song, is just what Motley Crue is at that time, and I mean through a lot of their career, but also it's such a hook. I cannot listen to this song enough. I cannot get enough of Public Enemy number one.
Yeah, such a good number one to have.
I honestly left it off my list because I knew we'd be talking about it. it was a bubble under. It straight up was. It's number 3 on the album for me. And it's really close with Livewire. It is a great song. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to talk about it anyway. I've got room.
Yeah.
It's funny. I ranked all the Too Fast songs. So I did your approach, John, but I did it just for Too Fast. The others, I had Public Enemy. I was shocked. I had Public Enemy as like 3 or 4 on the album, which surprised me because, I mean, then I sit there and think about it. It's like, man, wait a minute. That's got to be like a top 3 for sure. I mean, do you know how it feels? I mean, like, it's just that song. Yeah. Listen, I think Too Fast for Love is my favorite Motley Crue album. Mm-hmm. So I think I had a realization and an epiphany on this podcast. I really do.
I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great choice. Great choice.
Well, we're on the run, having fun when you're young. So
that's right.
I do. I cannot get enough of that song. Never been able to.
No, it's good. And now, Caton, your Public Enemy number 1 is.
All right. I bit my tongue earlier. One of you guys, but since it was my number 1, I decided to hold it.
Smart.
And not chime in. So it has already been said, but. My number 1 all-time Motley Crue favorite song is "On with the Show."
There it is.
On with the Show. And I don't know that I can sum it up or describe it any better than Carsen did. I think the lyrics. Another thing I've realized over the last 3.5 hours we've been on is how much I love Nikki Sixx's lyrics. So I may be a little different than you, Carsen. I mean, I do love lyrics, and like that is, like that's a super important, piece of the song for me. I know it is for you too, but you're saying sometimes you're like, oh, I've been singing the wrong lyrics for 10 years or whatever. I do that too, but I kind of realized over the last month in prepping for this, it's like, dadgummit, I love some of these Motley Crue lyrics, but just, Frankie died the other night. Some say it was suicide. I mean, just deep, man, deep. And I don't know, man, that lyric I quoted earlier and just the way it's sung, Susie said, listen, you must go on with the show. It's just powerful. It's my number 1. I knew it would be in the top 3. I kind of thought 10 seconds would edge it out, but it didn't happen, man. On with the show.
No, something we didn't talk about with On the Show is even though, like, we know how the story goes. That song has already drawn you in as part of the lyrical journey that Nikki's taking you on. And it's what you said about sitting here listening to you guys talk about it and reflecting on it that I've realized too, like, shoot, these lyrics really... Yeah, there is a reason I'm attached to these songs, and maybe I just haven't realized how much, but gosh, yeah, Nikki's lyrics, the appreciation. But when you think about,
and I'm not sure that it's on purpose, but it's such a good, when you draw in your audience, again, we know how the story goes. You've now made me a part of this. And I feel like I am in whatever the story is with you, or this is Nikki like leaning over to me, like, we know how the story, like, again, you've now connected me to your band.
Yeah,
Whether
we're
that's
we.
on purpose or not, it's a brilliance in songwriting.
Yeah.
When you think
I
about,
love, go ahead. Sorry.
when you think about like this band, obviously Mick Mars comes in with this all this guitar greatness. Tommy Lee is this accidental drum hero. Nikki Sixx is not bassist extraordinaire. Never tried to be, never wanted to be. Vince is not amazing singer. And this is where, if not for Nikki's lyrics, Vince Neil creates something like, again, You're Invited But Your Friend Can't Come, which is a good song, but it's what you expect from Vince Neil. It's what you expect. He's any other blonde guy on the strip. When Nikki Sixx puts words in that guy's mouth, Vince Neil becomes deeper. Even if he's just as the voice of it, not his thoughts, not his thing. And because Vince Neil, all he wants is fast cars and a party. Like that's what like the image was, and that's I think what he was. But when you give him some substance, you're getting substance from a place you're not expecting it. And that may actually be the genius of the success of Motley Crue. Because, and this is obviously not a dig, you can see Vince Neil singing a Nothing But a Good Time in 1980 if Vince Neil is left to his druthers, because that is Vince Neil. But you give him this guy who has his own issues and his own demons, who's writing from a very different place. Put those words in Vince Neil's mouth, and you've got a presentation that doesn't make sense in such a great way that it's perfect.
Man, I love that. I love that. I mean, you've thrown out a lot of stuff tonight that I've never thought about, but I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, left to his own druthers, as you said, you know, Vince Neil would be writing, singing, nothing but a good time, or Talk Dirty to Me, or, you know, I don't know why I picked two Poison songs, but and that's
Give
not
it
a
to me
knock.
good.
That's not a knock.
No, we love
Because
these songs.
I love that stuff. But you're right. You're right. I mean, it was, maybe there was something contradictory to the delivery form of this bleach blonde, not typical, because Vince, even though you said like maybe he didn't have the best voice, he had one of the more unique voices
100%.
of the genre. Recognizable. You knew Vince the second you heard it. But maybe there was something contradictory that was really cool in there that made it the secret sauce of these deep, interesting, creepy, sinister, sometimes quirky, sometimes, you know, lyrics from Nikki Sixx, but they were being delivered by somebody that you thought, you know, wait a minute, there's kind of a you know,
Vince Neil.
good observations, man.
Vince Neil should have been the lead singer in the ultimate second generation Van Halen. Like, he's David Lee Roth in every way. He should have been singing songs like Unchained and Panama. Like, that's where Vince Neil should have gone. But he meets this guy who puts a whole different thing in his head. Because they talk about, you know, he shook his ass and the girls went crazy. He's shaking his ass and the girls are going crazy while singing, You Know He's Got to Get Away to the merry-go-round. Like, that's how you got the girls to the show. And that's also where the guys sat there and said, no, man, like, I get it. Like, that guy's pretty, but there's something going on here.
Well, he
And
managed to take
that loss later.
He took Nikki's darkness and didn't make it sunshine, but he made it so there were shadows.
Yeah.
So you could see some of it, but it was digestible. That, let's say you'd had somebody else, like more morose. I'm going to say it, a brunette, like singing that, you know, like, dude who's not smiling, right? That there's, ooh, that's a little too much for me. But you put Vince's face on it and you put Vince's looks and honestly his high register.
Yes.
That's another thing that makes it much more palatable to digest, you know, merry-go-round or on with the show.
You're all I need.
You're all I need. Yeah.
He's got a thin voice for deep songs. It's crazy, but it's true.
I always wondered
waiting.
on with the show. I always wondered, you know, Frankie died just the other night. I always wondered if Nicky did, his real name's Frank.
Yeah.
I always wondered where Frankie came from and if that was like a reference to what he thought his life would have ended up like. He thought he would get knifed or something or die early.
I've
I don't
always
know.
assumed it was him.
Me
I've always
too.
assumed that he put himself in the story. Always.
Me too, Hyde. Every time I hear it, I think, well, they're clearly talking about, Nicky.
I picture the guy on the back of the Too Fast for Love cover every time. But all right, my number one.
Drum roll.
Again, this is one that, again, I don't think I would have thought it's my favorite, but it's absolutely my favorite Motley Crue song, and it's again a message that so fell on deaf ears, and it's "Power to the Music" from Motley Crue '94.
Yep.
Like, this is your lead off track. Again, I said that there was a few lead off tracks. This is them trying to make the statement. Everything you're hearing, who said the music's dead in the streets? Like, you thought we were dead, we're coming back. And I'm not even sure, I'm not saying that's what the song's about, but this is the statement. And power to the music in the streets, and yet nobody was there to hear it. There was, like, this song, there was no power to the music in this, and it's such a wasted thing. This is heavy, but not heavy for heavy's sake. This isn't thrash.
Mm-hmm.
This is groovy. The drums are beyond insane. The guitars are just all over the place. John's vocals, I mean, it's like Whiplash in a song that's not called Whiplash. But like it's that very spoken, punchy vocal on the verses. Everything just flows together. And like I said, when I started going one by one, putting songs against each other, Power to the Music just sat there and nothing could top it. And it is easily probably it's my most listened to Motley song. It's just, and again, I would never have said that back in 1994, and that's on me. And I owe an apology to Mr. Corabi. Happily, my John Corabi story I have to tell because this is the moment. Went to go see Rat back in 2003 in Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. And John Corabi is in Rat at this point. And I want to meet him because I am now fully into Motley Crue '94. And there's a little back bar area to Toad's Place. So people are filtering out of the place and we're heading to the back bar. I'm like, I'm not missing this opportunity. I am literally one person away from John Corabi, me, someone else that's talking to him, and then him. And I'm waiting. And I'm younger, obviously, like than a lot of the other people there at the Rat show. And I must have just looked like, obviously, like, I can't wait to talk to this guy. I'm obviously not playing it cool. So all of a sudden, security comes in. He's like, all right, we need to clear the bar. We need to clear the bar. Let's go. Let's go. And they're pushing everybody out. And the guy gets to me. John Corabi reaches out his hand, puts it on my shoulder and said, nah, he's cool.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, he could see something in my face
Yeah.
that he's waiting to talk to me. He didn't have to do that, obviously. And that goes with every story you ever hear about John Corabi.
Mm-hmm.
I was also fortunate enough because we know Motley doesn't touch this. We know Motley has not touched these songs since the Anywhere There's Electricity tour, with the exception of Tommy Lee putting part of Hooligan's Holiday in his drum solo on the All Good Things tour, which was pretty cool when he did the like roller coaster
Roller
thing.
coaster.
But it starts with Hooligan's Holiday and him playing along to it. And like that to me that's the moment. And we know Mick, Tommy have both gone on record that that's their favorite Motley album. I was lucky enough to be in there in person when John Corabi recorded his One Night in Nashville live '94 album, playing top to bottom, and then also adding in the bonus track of Quaternary. Like, just amazing to hear these songs live with a killer band.
You were at that show?
I was at that show.
The one they recorded.
Yes, the one they recorded that put out.
Yeah, that was like Second Avenue, right?
No.
Oh, was it not?
No, that was. God, you're making me go. It's kind of what Basement East-ish area, if not the Basement East, before it was
East
Basement
Nashville?
East. Yes.
Was it that third and Lindley place?
No, it wasn't there.
No, it'd be
it was a
across
bigger
the
venue
river.
than that. It was bigger. Where do we see Hailstorm? During
East.
COVID. Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
okay.
I could look it up.
No, it could have been over there. I just remember Corabi playing it. We were at a bar on Second Avenue.
That was not that show. That was a different
Yeah.
show. Where it was,
Okay. I
he's
didn't know when
supposed,
he recorded it.
that
Yeah.
show was like a full electric show for like the first
Yeah.
time in years because he always does acoustic and he's magical at it. But this was top to bottom, Motley 94. I was there. I then bought the album, of course. It just, the album, I'm so glad it's found its way. And I'm one of those people who found it. I can't, as we've all said, none of us were there on day one buying it. We're all apologists. And it's just really great. Power to the Music is a strong opening statement and really a song that I don't think Motley's ever done better than, in my opinion.
I love that it's so heavily represented on your list because you guys know how I feel about it. And you know, again, another good point that I haven't necessarily thought of, but I saw that tour. I say tour, maybe he's done, but I saw Karabi in
He did do a tour, yes,
at Rock House Live, and he had the guy from that Black Shag on guitar
yes,
with him.
Tommy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Because I remember catching up with Tommy at Black Shag, and he told me he did, and I said, "Man, I remember that. Like I remember you. I remember his blonde hair." Anyway, that, as crazy as this sounds, seeing him play that top to bottom. His kid was on drums, which I remember was also cool. I also thought that was really special having him. It was one of the better rock shows I've ever seen because it was so, I wanted to hear those songs. So it was almost like an apology to John Corabi. Like, I felt like I was honoring, like, yes, dude, we missed it. We're sorry. There's 20 people here, including the bartenders watching this in Memphis. Nobody showed up for it. Nobody. Me and Chris, you guys know Chris. And I remember it was just like, it was kind of, in a sense, it was kind of, there was a sadness to it because it's like, it's finally finding its way. You're doing these top to bottom, stop barking, but there was nobody still there to like enjoy it really. So it wasn't a packed house when I saw it. But
in Nashville it was, because I think he knows a lot of people too.
Okay.
But again, I think people traveled for it, especially because we knew it was an album taping.
yeah.
So no, it was a nice big house. And again, it's just there, no one has a bad John Corabi story. I've talked with him. I remember telling him once about my favorite song on the second Union album, because we're that deep around here. And he looked at me and he's like, "Really, that one?" And he wasn't saying like, he's like, "Man, that one like has bad memories for me." He's like, "But no one's ever pointed that out as like their favorite." And he's like, "That's really cool." It's like he knew I listened to it. He's just a good dude and was put in this unenviable position that it didn't matter who got that spot. It was never going to be good. Or no, I shouldn't say good. It was never going to work.
It was never going to be good for whoever was in that spot. You weren't going to have a good time.
I'll tell you something we should just briefly touch on, and the off chance that Corabi ever saw this or heard this. I mean, he has handled. He's proven that he's just a nice, genuine, good guy. Like the way he handled relations with Motley Crue after he got booted and really kind of done wrong. I mean, he's always been gracious about it. He's always been forgiving about it. He's always been, I felt like, just quick to, I don't know, man. I think he demonstrated that he was a good guy in the way he was able to step into that. It didn't go well. And then the way he gracefully exited or was exited from the band, I think speaks volumes for the guy. And, his vocal ability is off the charts, and we all recognize that now. And, I don't know, man, you can't touch Krabby to me. He's just phenomenal.
I still would love to hear more of the Swine era stuff with him on vocals. I don't know how like, because according to a lot of people, the album,
he wrote a lot of it, right?
He only ended up credited on one song.
Yeah, but
Let Us Pray.
But I feel like maybe he should have been credited on a little bit more.
Well,
right?
They even said when Vince came back, John overlapped with him to teach him how to sing the songs, which means these things were already pretty complete. I mean, I've heard 3 demos, one of which is Let Us Pray, which at the time is just kind of a scat vocal over the top to come up with a melody. But I would love to hear how finished these things ever were. And if I'm Motley, just clean out the vaults, just put it out. Like, let people hear anything you got, anything that's sitting back. If there's one thing we're learning from Eddie Van Halen's passing, who knows what the Van Halen vault is? Because according to everybody, he was in his studio every day creating music. Ultimately, Eddie Van Halen released 13 albums in his lifetime. And like, there's all this stuff, and it's like, just put it out. I don't care what state it's in. Charge people money, because if you can get us fans, we'll pay it to hear some stuff we've never heard before. No, John handled everything great, and he still does. I don't want to get in the sludge of it all, but like, Nikki said some crappy stuff over the years. Called him, he comes in and he wants to be a songwriter, and it's like, why do we got to say anything? Because in all fairness, the songs he wrote are actually really good, and the songs he's written since are good. It's like, why ever? And it's something we learned from David Ellefson of Megadeth. Went to a clinic of his at the Guitar Center in Nashville, and someone said something about Euthanasia being their favorite Megadeth album, which mine too. And he said it's one that they don't love necessarily, but he goes, I've learned never to say anything bad about any of our albums because it's someone's favorite.
Oh, that's cool.
And I go, and that's all it is. It doesn't matter which album. It doesn't matter. Like, you could talk about it was tumultuous making it. Subhuman Race, the band wasn't getting along. You could say that. But someone out there connected with those songs in a way that if you come out and say, man, that album really sucked, what were we thinking? You hurt that person. You'll never hurt anyone who doesn't like the album by saying we stand by it, So I just would love to see Motley be a little cooler to 94. And I didn't mean to turn this into my 94 TED Talk.
No, but I agree as well. I think that they could, I think that, I don't know. I think there's so much to be said for the grace at which he handled both coming into the band, right, and giving it a go and stepping into those shoes, and also the way he exited or was exited from the band. To me, it just it speaks volumes. And like you said, obviously, I'm sure there was money involved, but I've always heard that as well. Him working with Vince, or on the arrangements, or that helping him out, if you will, in that transition. Right? It's kind of like corporate America when somebody leaves, executives leave, and you pay somebody and they help with the transition. Not everybody's going to do that. I mean, the fact that he even did that, even if there was money involved, still, you got to be a stand-up guy, I feel like, to swallow your pride. That's a hard pill. That's a bitter pill. That's a bitter pill to swallow. And, and he did it. So, I mean, I really do. I hope Corabi realizes how much, because even if we're not the majority, we're not the only ones. There are plenty of Motley Crue fans that love this album, and all day long will tell you, yes, this does belong in Motley Crue's catalog. It does belong to be represented. It does. And I hope he realizes that so many people did come around finally. They did come to the table finally. It took us a minute.
Look, I'm sure financially that's not great, but I'm sure artistically it's a good feeling. Like, that you are validated. It sucks that it wasn't when it was maybe going to be work out for you. But again, I think there's enough people, I'm sure daily, who will tell him, you know what? Yeah. That's good stuff. So I think we're just going to title this podcast Our Apology to John Corabi. I think that's what it's going to be. It's one other thing I want to touch on real quick. It's interesting to me. My number 2, both of your number 1s, Too Fast for Love, really says a lot about that band's first album, and out the gate, the energy that they presented. Because we had in the top 2, 3 different songs. And as much as Caton, yours had been mentioned before, Carsen and I have not, but 3 different songs. It's not like we were all like Live Wire number 1 and 2. We came out with 3 completely different songs to occupy 1 and 2 respectively, and that says a lot. for how great that album is. So
and
give a shout out to that.
And even you know, Tonight, you know, the unreleased, that's not, I mean, that was Too Fast, right? Tonight was, yeah. I mean, that's on my honorable mention, Tonight. I mean, I love that song. That would have been perfect had it made it, you know, on that album. And so it was strong, and there was, you know, maybe 10 seconds was written during that time. You know, who knows? Maybe you backed into something there, but
who knows?
Yeah. Well, guys, this was an absolute blast.
Absolutely.
Delight.
So there you are, our top 15 Motley Crue. So go out and listen to all of them because they're all good. You should really check them out. And until next time, when maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to convince everyone we need to do Poison next. Just putting it out there.
I like
all right.
it.
Have fun, everybody.